It's time to put the remote control down. The talking heads are done. It's time for unfiltered takes over a nightcap. You're invited inside to discuss the weekend's biggest disasters, the surprising heroes, and everything that got missed over the course of the weekend. This is where the best late-night sports talk happens. Welcome inside the ETB Lounge. And now, here's your bartender of banter for the evening, Callan McClurg. Oh, man, the brackets are locked. The NFL landscape is shifting under our feet, and one of the tournament favorites just lost their floor general to the local sheriff. Welcome into the lounge. Hello again, my friends. My name is Callan McClurg, and Selection Sunday came and went, and it arrived with a vengeance. The brackets are finally set, as Duke is the number one overall seed for the men, while the UConn women enter 34-0 and are the undisputed number one in women's college basketball. But while all the Blue Bloods were celebrating, the headline in Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, is a utter disaster. The Tide are now in a tailspin following the felony arrest of star guard Aiden Holloway early on Monday morning. Guys, to lose your second leading scorer in floor general to a narcotic search on the eve of the tournament is a nightmare scenario for head coach Nate Oates, and the Tide were dreaming of a Final Four, and now they're just trying to keep the wheels on the bus before they face Hofstra on Friday evening. In the NFL, the Chiefs just proved they are the kings of the insurance policy by picking up Justin Fields from Nick Morgeson's beloved New York Jets to serve as the main primary backup while Pat Mahomes continues his ACL rehab. And in another fascinating move, the Chiefs get an experienced mobile playmaker for the upcoming season, all for a 6th-round pick in 2027, while the Jets are essentially paying Fields to leave so they can hand the keys right back to Geno Smith. And finally, we head to the Diamond, where Miami's the current center of the world right now. Team USA outlast the DR in a 2-1 thriller on Sunday, fueled by Paul Skeens and homers by Gunnar Henderson and Roman Anthony. And literally, fellas, just a few minutes ago, Venezuela managed to hold off Italy's magical run to punch their ticket for a date with Team USA on Tuesday. One win away from glory, and the stage is finally set for a massive World Baseball Classic finale on Tuesday night. But again, we look over Alabama's path without their star guard. The Justin Fields moved to Kansas City in a World Baseball Classic thriller that now has Team USA facing Venezuela, in both nations one win away from a World Baseball Classic championship. On the launch tonight, folks, as always, is our good man, Nick Morgeson, and, of course, Dino Taibbi. Gentlemen, the brackets are out. Team USA is a win away from the title. And more importantly, March Madness is finally here. Nick Morgeson, Dino Taibbi again joining the show here today. Mr. Morgeson playing hurt, as a lot of us have, though. I think the entire network in some way has had the cold bug go around the office. It feels like over these last 3 weeks.
It's amazing. I'm here. I feel like I'm on deathbed right now, seriously. But somehow I am still alive and kicking, wanting to kick the Jets' asses right now for some of the deals that they've made, including bringing back Geno Smith. Yes, you probably saw me making a video on this a couple days ago. You could have had him on the scrap heap. You could just waited for the Raiders to cut him. But no, in such Jets fashion, we had to trade a 6th or 7th round or whatever pick it was, excuse me, to make that happen. But am I really surprised at this point? No.
Sadly, Nick and Dean, I think the Jets are the gift that keep on giving, right?
Yeah.
They are.
Man, Dino Taibbi, great to have you aboard again, my man. How we doing this evening?
Doing pretty well. No, I mean, yeah, the sick bug is definitely going around because, I think really whenever like the weather changes over, it seems to make people sick.
Yes, you're talking to a guy where it's 85 degrees in March in Southern California, and it's never been like this ever that I can recall.
I mean, just a few days ago, it was in the 70s here, and
Yes.
now then literally 48 hours later, we were like in the 30s. So like March always has like those bipolar swings like that. April too. So March and April are gonna have those bipolar swings like that, and it tends to always make people sick. But
And I only say it's gone around the office. Now, again, we're all remote, folks. Again, I'm in Southern California. Nick and Dino are on the East Coast. Half the team's on the East Coast. We got a couple of people in Montana with Will and Christy. But yet it's like any other office. Everybody's passing the bug around. I got it at the end of February. I called out of work for the third time in 18 years on February 27th because I got, like Nick was like on deathbed. And then it's gone to Tom. It's gone to Nate. It's gone. And now it's gone to Nick. You know, Dino's had it. I think we've all had it, but it's just so weird, though, that's been like passed around and we don't even work. We don't even share cubicles or we share like an actual TV or radio station together, but it's been passed around by the whole team.
You know what? I'm here. I want to scream about the Jets. So I said I'd make an exception for being sick.
The Jets, Jets, go fight, win. All right, folks. With that in mind, though, as always, find us on social media. We are at the ETB Network, or at the ETB, or we are at the ETB Lounge, I should say. It is Monday, and also, of course, we are also at the ETB Lounge, and more importantly, at ETB Network. And of course, make sure you like and subscribe. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Mr. Morgeson, 2,100 views as of Monday. There are 2,100 viewing hours, I should say. Yes.
Yeah. 2,100 watch hours, more than halfway to the goal. Keep doing what you're doing, watching on YouTube. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're available on a bunch of other Twitter live platforms right now, but please go watch over on our YouTube platform, youtube.com/ETB Network, and help us get to the goal faster, because that's when more things can be done. More content.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes in a way to what Nick and I were talking about on the most recent WNBA strike show. We will be having another one sometime later this week when more news does come out. But again, Nick and I were sitting here that night, around 9 o'clock Pacific time, midnight Eastern, the day that the strike was supposed to be implemented. Thank you, Kathy Engelbert, for being a dumbass.
Today was another one of those dates that it still didn't happen.
Yeah, but more importantly, what Nick and I had recognized, though, we were on air for 3 hours that night.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And we topped out at 730 live viewers across multiple platforms, and that really was really a big engine as to why we have had the jump in viewership hours. I think Nick picked up about 10 subscribers that night from the program. So the more that you folks watch, the more that we get to more check some more boxes, like at 2,500 or 3,000 watch hours, we will be able to do more hour-long bonus content programming for you folks. So please keep watching. We really do appreciate everyone's support, and a good evening to our good man, Cal. Hope all is well. What a crazy month of March. We got a lot going on here, fellas. WBC, we're getting close to the baseball season starting for probably the last time in quite a while. And also, more importantly, March Madness is also happening in give or take first 4 games on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then, of course, we get the whole tournament kicked off on Thursday and Friday. So set those alarms for, 9 a.m. Pacific time, because usually day one of a tournament, I get up early, order breakfast, put the coffee pot on, and I have, all the channels ready to go to watch all the games on a first day of March Madness.
Oh, wait, you mean True TV gets dusted off just for this tournament?
So it's not just Impractical Jokers that you're watching on True TV.
Oh, no. I already read that the schedule has Impractical Jokers around the games.
Once they're off the air, last game's done of the day. Hey, Impractical Jokers is back. That would literally be like if MTV got the rights. Okay, we'll show you a block of games. Now we're going to go back to ridiculousness with Rob Dyrdek.
Oh, well, that show just ended fairly recently, too. They finally retired that show. But it's almost like Impractical Jokers goes to the March Madness committee and says, you know what? This is the perfect time for new episodes or a new tour.
A new season when we have everybody to build off of watching March Madness on day 1 or day 2.
But you know what, though? It's kind of brilliant if you think about it, because of the amount of people that are watching those channels, whether it's TBS or True TV. I mean, CBS is going to go to news. That's usually what they do after the games. Anyone gives a shit about news.
Might go to a movie after it's all said and done.
Yeah, but for TBS and for True TV, they're not going to news. They need something comedy based. And I think I read on True TV, they're going to be airing this special documentary I was reading also for one of the.
So.
I saw it on social media. Apparently,
I know Tubi's got a documentary about Gonzaga men's basketball coming down the pipeline during the tournament, which is a little interesting.
God, when's the last time Gonzaga was relevant in the tournament?
They've been like really good. They got to the finals one year. I think Baylor beat them, I want to say, fairly recently.
Yeah.
8 or 9 years ago.
I mean, they're always in it, but
they're always in it. Like I think Mark Few's got
like all their school is known
30-year streak of getting to the playoffs.
You know who I remember, and the only reason I remember Gonzaga from over the years, Sam Morrison,
Adam Morrison, Robert Sacre.
Yeah, that's
Adam Morrison, Robert Sacre. I see him every year though at USD until they go to the Pac-12.
You remember, like he was like the hottest thing since sliced bread when he was going to get drafted.
I called the game with USD playing Zaga with Ruri Hachimura being their center,
and everyone said, "Oh, Adam Morrison's going to be the next big star." And then he became a huge freaking bust when he got drafted by the Lakers.
And he still won 2 rings.
Did he win 2 rings?
09 and 10.
Oh, so he was on the Kobe team still?
Yes, he was.
Holy cow. By the way, are we going to talk about that tonight too with the BAM score? BAM 83 points.
We can fit it in somewhere down the pipeline, but we will kick off the show though, guys. Again, if you folks are watching again, you can hit us up on social media inside the live chat box. And yes, we have USA, Venezuela for all the marbles tomorrow. As Venezuela again defeats Italy within the last literally 15 minutes in Miami 4-2 after Italians pitching comes undone thanks to a 3-run inning for Venezuela. So Team USA, Venezuela for all the marbles on Tuesday. We, though, guys, kick off the round of takes, though, with last night's game on Sunday. In a semifinal for the ages, Team USA held off the DR scary lineup 2-1, the final score on Sunday from Home Depot Park. Marred, though, by Paul Skeens and great pitching. 2 homers in the game from both Roman Anthony and Gunnar Henderson. And, of course, the ever-controversial called third strike that was called on Geraldo Perdomo from Team USA pitcher Mason Miller in a great game, though, regardless, though, guys, of how it was more about pitching. So Nick Morgeson, with the victory by Team USA over the DR, which, by the way, this now marks, I think, the second time in 3 tournaments that Team USA has knocked out the DR. I was actually at the game in 2017 when Team USA knocked out the DR to get to the final game in L.A. when they played in San Diego, which, of course, was the Adam Jones robbing Machado of the home run at Petco Park that evening. But, Nick, is this game perhaps, though, the gutsiest win perhaps in recent WBC history for Team USA? Or did the DR simply run out of gas at the worst possible moment, though, against a very great Team USA starting pitcher, but also their bullpen?
I think, by the way, people are going nuts over the strike calls. Excuse me. You need to take the bat off your shoulders and swing. You can't strike out looking back-to-back batters in that scenario. I mean, those pitches are too close to take in that scenario. Swing the freaking bat. Don't be Carlos Beltran against Adam Wainwright in the NLCS and just watch a curveball drop in for strike 3 and look like a frozen rope. I mean, U.S. did enough to win that game. Okay,
I think they did.
Now, people are saying, should there be the ABS system? And I think that's what...
Cal says completely BS call from the umpire, which, by the way, Corey Blazer does have a very much modern-day infamous strike zone in a way for when he calls balls and strikes. It was 2 feet below the zone, actually, just to kind of clarify there. But I think that we all kind of agree that it might be time for ABS to come to the tournament. I mean, they had the pitch clock. Why not bring the ABS too into the fray?
Here's the problem I have, okay? You can look up a scouting report for an umpire,
of course,
in today's day and age. If you know the strike zone is bigger, then you should know not to watch a pitch go by. That's on the hitter.
I agree.
You can't let the umpire determine the game. Or what do they say in all games? Don't let the officials
control the game or what have you. I catch your drift.
And that's on the hitters for not taking the bat off their shoulders. That's why you lost the game. That's why you lost in that scenario. And U.S. is the best. Wow, let me be careful with that. I was going to say U.S. was a better team, but the Dominican Republic has an incredible team, too. I don't know. I mean, I usually don't watch the World Baseball Classic just because I'm like fully against what the tournament is about, and I'm afraid of guys getting hurt. But at the same time, it's just like I get it. I know why people are excited for it. They want to see their country win. They want to see the country flag win. I think we were more shocked that Team Japan got eliminated in this tournament too, which was another shocking occurrence. But we'll see. Dino, what do you think?
Yeah. No, I mean, look, obviously, yes, the last pitch was controversial. I mean, I saw right away that it looked like a ball to me, so I was surprised it was called a strike. But at the same time, yes, in that kind of situation, you should take your bat off the shoulder and at least maybe foul it off, get another pitch. But overall, DR had a lot of other opportunities to score, and the U.S. got out of it every time. So it was really a great performance by their bullpen overall to feed off of the good start by Skeens, obviously. So, the U.S. deserved to win, I felt, because if you shut down, like, the DR lineup is stacked from top to bottom. They are a stacked lineup. So, the fact that the U.S. was able to shut them down and get out of multiple, runners on base situations, means, if they were able to get out of multiple runners on base situations with that lineup, then they deserve to win that game.
Fellas, I think what's also getting a bit lost in the shuffle from this game with Team USA beating the DR 2-1 to clinch their spot in the final for the WBC on Tuesday. What I think we're also, in a way, missing here, the Aaron Judge throw out of Fernando Tatis Jr. at third base that ends an inning. I mean, it's still 1-0 Dominican Republic. It's a base hit to right field. Toddy has enough speed. Obviously him being one of my favorite guys in the Padres. Going first to third in that situation, you do that. But it took a near perfect throw. And, I mean, Fernando was up by 20 feet. I mean, the third baseman was already waiting for the throw to come in. And I think that play, in a way, hasn't really been talked about enough because I think we've all been, in a way, so hell-bent on the Mason Miller called third strike of Geraldo Perdomo that we, in a way, skip over that play where I think, Nick, the game, I think, hinges more on that play right there than, the called third, because let's say that Fernando's safe at third. The DR tacks on more runs. We're talking about a whole different ball game here than just the 1-0 deficit before the 2 homers were hit by Anthony and Henderson.
Well, all right, let's be careful with that statement partially because, again, fallacy of predetermined outcome. You don't know if he scores, even if he gets the third. I understand what you mean, that there's more offense. They're set up to score. Yeah. So that totally makes sense. But he could have gotten to third. The U.S. could have gotten out of the inning anyway, regardless. Sure. But that throw was a seeking missile to third base. And you could tell, and I was talking to my trainer earlier today when I was at the gym, and I said to him, can you tell that these players care more about these games, which they make no money off of, and then when they get into the regular season, do you think Judge makes that same enthusiastic throw to third base? I just don't.
Not.
I'll tell you, Juan Soto definitely looked way more enthusiastic playing for DR than he does for the Mets.
I mean, can we talk about the robbing of the home run, the moment that they were talking about between him and Soto? Too?
Yes.
That was nuts. And people were overreacting to the moment, what Soto was doing in the outfield. I'm like, come on, guys, you got to know that they were teammates.
Exactly.
When Soto's on, honestly, when Soto's playing on the Mets, he shows no hustle. Especially just in the middle of the season, he shows no hustle. But on DR, he's so enthusiastic. He's watching the game on the top step. He's making these crazy slides. You never see that happen when he's playing in the middle of the season. So, and he's making $700 million.
Well, that goes back to energy and effort, though. I think that's a massive problem, that these guys care more about playing for the country than they do for a World Series title. That's
which I think, in a way, though, fellas, went to, I think, a point that we have talked about. Maybe it linked a little bit about Olympic hockey and the NHL. Maybe even the World Cup coming up here, as opposed to playing for an MLS team or a soccer club over in Europe, right? I even think, Nick and Dino, didn't Aaron Judge have a very similar comment that that a World Baseball Classic game has more energy than a Game 7 of a World Series because of the culture being built around it in certain markets?
Yeah, but also blame Rob Manfred because, well, you could blame Rob Manfred for the whole thing because he decided to call the World Series a piece of tin at the same time, which can we say in his whole tenure, that was probably the dumbest comment he's made?
I think, because I think that came out in wake of how he didn't handle the Astros situation in 17, properly in people's opinion.
Yeah, but you could put that on everything now, because now the players are saying, oh, well, our commissioner thinks the World Series trophy is a piece of tin. I guess we'll treat the World Baseball Classic like it matters more. They don't get paid for this. They actually are risking injury over making money.
Which, by the way, Nick, to your point, I don't mean to interrupt you, but to your point, though, Fox showed numerous camera shots of one Jose Altuve wearing his Team Venezuela jersey sitting behind home plate tonight because of how we talked about that certain guys like Altuve, Correa even, weren't able to get insured for their team to play for their respective countries from from their MLB franchise.
Well, that was the whole situation. I think you and I discussed on Press Row about Bad Bunny was trying to get players insured, and baseball said, get in line. It's not happening. I do find that interesting, though, that he was willing to pay the money, and I guess maybe teams are so hell-bent, like I've said in the past, and this is originally why I didn't like the tournament, because I'd be afraid if Aaron Judge were to get hurt in this tournament, I would go nuts. If he goes down as a season-ending injury like Edwin Diaz had last World Baseball Classic, you don't think Mets fans threw a shit fit when he got hurt and couldn't pitch for the rest of the year? I don't blame Mets fans when he got hurt.
I mean, and I'll be frank, as a Padre fan, I've been kind of in a way sharing the same sentiments, though, but hey, go play for the country. But from my perspective, though, on a different level, this in a way, like obviously, we've got Mason Miller, Team USA in the final, Toddy and Manny were close, and we got, Ron Marinaccio of Team Italy, they got within a game of the final. But I more look at it, though, from a Padre perspective. This is the last thing I want to have happen, because the fact the team is going to be sold to a new ownership in a way, and that that is a bit of a was a bit of a lingering issue with me, but also I'm like, hey, go and do what you got to do, play what have you, go from there. But as we stand here today, once more, Venezuela just did defeat Italy within the last roughly half an hour by a 4-2 score. So it'll be Team USA, Team Venezuela coming up for the final on Tuesday from Lone Depot Park in Miami, Florida. Gentlemen, flat beer of the night, though, goes to Alabama men's basketball and the arrest of Aiden Holloway. News again broke early this morning on Monday that Holloway was arrested on charges of reckless driving and trying to elude the police with team head coach Nate Oates, suspending him indefinitely. Only guys 4 days away from their first-round tip-off against Tom Albano's Hofstra Pride. Dino, is Bama's season officially over before it begins, or can Nate Oates pull another coaching miracle out of his hat come Friday when they tip off their opening round game?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the last thing you want to see happen. Seeing one of your star players get arrested just days before the tournament. I honestly thought that Hofstra had a pretty good chance in that game to begin with, but now I'm sure they're very energized, very much. They're definitely going to be up for that game, knowing they have an even better chance now to potentially pull the upset.
Nick, these stories I always dread when it comes to college athletes. Again, having worked a high majority of my 18 years in the broadcasting and announcing industry within college athletics in the last 9 out of Division I. You're always fearful, though, Nick, that something like this would happen where guys or players get caught up. Maybe they celebrate a little too much, though, when it comes to, hey, I get to go to the, experience March Madness, though. But also, you kind of forget where you're at, though. You're not in the right headspace, even as you're celebrating, though. And, of course, Nick, this now causes a massive headache, though, for Nate Oates. Now, again, I don't know if Bama's going to go far in the tournament, though. But, again, they're one of the 10 SEC teams who got in, though. They got Hofstra for their first game coming up over the course of the weekend. But, Nick, with and I think, though, I don't really like questions like this sometimes like this, because this is a team sport. I tell people, when something like this happens, it's next man up. So who's going to be that guy that will fill in and take the Aiden Holloway role to fill that void while he's out for the entire tournament, though? But, Nick, your thoughts, though, With the news, though, of Holloway's arrest, though, is Bama's season officially over, or can somehow, some way, Nate Oates pull one more miracle out of his hat?
This is stupidity. Like 4 days before the tournament starts. And from what I read within the report, it was a residence that he was staying in that they found marijuana products and a bunch of other stuff inside his residence, because I guess technically it was I think an off-campus
dormitory or apartment, what have you.
I mean, how stupid can you be as a college athlete knowing that he probably had NIL? I'm going to guess he probably had NIL. You have to stay clean on your NIL. Everybody knows the rules of the NIL between the GPA. You can't break the law. Now, is he going to lose his NIL? Hell no, he's not going to lose his NIL because they don't want to lose him off their roster. Now, you said suspended indefinitely.
Yeah, he's done.
His ass should be kicked off the team, to be quite honest. I think
fair.
If you get caught with drugs, back in the day, you were caught with drugs, your ass was sent to the curb. You were cut from school. Now, because of all the NIL drama and contracts and stuff that are signed, you can't do that easily anymore. It's kind of like a professional sport where if you're going to cut somebody, you got to pay them the guaranteed money that they're owed. But
correct.
He's an idiot. Now, I don't know how. I don't think Alabama was a great team to begin with anyway, but he's one of their top guys. And now I don't think they're going to recover. I think they might be one and done, possibly, the way this is going.
Boy, by the way, if Hofstra does upset Alabama, I want Tom Albano, regardless of how shitty he's feeling, to do a damn victory lap on this network after the game's over with.
Hey, I got LIU coming up too,
and LIU's in my backyard, sir, against number 1 Arizona.
Oh, seriously?
They're playing here in San Diego at Viejas Arena.
I'm looking up the spread for
that's where St. John's is playing too. But
I feel like they're like 33-point dogs.
What, Alabama?
No, LIU against
LIU.
UVA.
I'm just trying to look this up to see if I can find it.
And by the way, for those folks who don't know, by the way, because Nick went to the other LIU before they merged. If that's
the
LIU CW Post.
Yes, that's where I went.
He went to before they merged. LIU was going to be named the champions of the Northeast Conference because Mercyhurst University was they're doing the transition, as you probably know about UC San Diego last season. They were also ineligible because you have to do a 3 to 5 year phasing in period to D1 athletics. So Mercyhurst got to the final with Long Island U. It did not matter if Mercyhurst won it. The Sharks already had the championship already won before the game started because Mercyhurst is still ineligible for the D1 tournament.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Mercyhurst won, they would have still been conference champions, but they would not have gotten the bid to the big tournament. Yeah. LIU was going to be in just for making the final.
I don't even see that game listed on DraftKings yet.
Oh boy, it might be.
Well, if you're looking in New York, you're not going to see it because it's an in-state college game.
Oh shit, that's right. I hate that stupid rule. It's so annoying.
Let's see. So, by the way, so LIU
I'll look at it in New Jersey.
Yeah. So LIU is going to face Arizona at Viejas Arena in San Diego. It's a 1:35 p.m. tip-off on the East Coast.
Okay, so they're saying it's going to be between 12.5 and 14.5.
Okay, not terrible considering it could be worse.
To be honest, I would plus points on that one, knowing that that arrest happened with Aiden Holloway. I'd go plus points
for Bama playing Hofstra. Okay,
on Hofstra, yeah.
I would take the plus points. 12.5, 14.5.
Still not terrible.
I would take the plus points.
All right, I got it. LIU is a 31.5 point underdog to Arizona.
Shit. The thing is, though, it's such a ridiculous spread. You almost have to take the plus points.
Yes.
Almost in that game.
I see Hofstra at 11.5.
Ooh.
Okay. So it's going to be somewhere between 11 and 15. Somewhere
I think
in
even
there.
if they lose by 10, that'd be pretty respectable for Hofstra. Honestly.
I mean, Bama puts up a lot of points. So,
that is true.
It's a matter of whether they could keep up. If they could keep up, then I feel like they'll stay within the margin, but
Let's hope so. I mean, there'll probably be a couple of those games on Thursday or Friday, but I just wish that every game is close. All right, Nick, you can scream what lungs you have left for the bar brawl moment of the night. Justin Fields' low-risk, high-reward move. He is dealt to the Chiefs to a 2-year deal to serve as the ultimate insurance policy for one Pat Mahomes, while the Chiefs send a late-round pick to the Jets in return for Fields. Nick, is this the ultimate rich-get-richer move, or is Justin Fields simply going to be a glorified scout team QB for Andy Reid's system?
Oh, my God. Who the hell cares?
It's Justin Fields. He's a terrible quarterback, okay? I love how he had all the hype coming out of school. Oh, he's going to be the next big quarterback. No. I mean, how many stops? So we had
Chicago,
Pittsburgh,
New York,
and now Kansas City. He might win a ring by default, just sitting on the bench at one point. Just saying. I don't know what the Jets are doing right now currently. Like, it's like multiple choice in the front office, or they just took a dart and just went threw it against the wall and just said, like, all right, let's trade Justin Fields, even though I'm glad they got something for Justin Fields, even though it's
late round picks.
It's like 6th round or whatever. But then you go out and you get Geno Smith. Like, what are you doing?
I was going to say, they're like the people who hog the pool table on a Monday night at the bar, or they're the same people who hog the dartboard, and they play like every game known to mankind for 3 hours on end.
I mean, if you have enough darts, you're bound to hit a bullseye at one point, right? I mean,
this is not a bullseye move for the Jets. Is what I believe you're getting at here.
Yeah, I'm saying enough times if you just keep throwing the dart, it might take a million tries. Eventually, you'll hit a bullseye and say, "Oh, I did something productive."
By Super Bowl 100, maybe.
What's the old saying that a blind squirrel finds a nut every so often?
Well, no, a blind squirrel always finds his nuts.
Maybe that's the Jets.
Never.
Never in a million years.
Not in our lifetime. They're not going to win a Super Bowl.
If only Joe Namath can walk through that door one more time, right?
I mean, what was that? Super Bowl 3? Yeah.
3 or 4.
3.
Yeah, I don't expect it to happen.
Some say he made a deal with the devil, and that's why they can't win anymore.
Or the guarantee and him running up the field. Like, I told you so. I told you we're going to beat these guys.
I mean, he was the playboy back then.
Oh, man. Dino, your thoughts, though, on this? The Chiefs get an insurance policy while the Jets get a couple of late-round picks in the upcoming draft in 2027.
Hey, I mean, one thing's for sure. No quarterback is ever good when they're on the Jets. So if KC sees something in Fields that they, I mean, if there's any coach that could do it, it's probably Andy Reid,
He's not going to play, though.
No, I mean, look, if Mahomes is ready, I don't know if Mahomes is going to be ready for
I don't think so
week
either.
1.
If I may ask, though, when did he suffer the injury? Was it like late in the season?
Yeah, it was very late in the season.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I think he's out for.
ago.
I think he's out for all of next season if that's the case.
No,
he's supposed to be back.
I think like week 5 or week 6. I think they said he'll be back.
Okay.
That was the whole thing that they were trying to figure out with Travis Kelce. Will Travis Kelce come back? He is now officially coming back for the full season.
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't imagine them going with Justin Fields.
Oh.
Well, who was their backup? Because I kind of forgot.
It was Minshew. It was Minshew, but he got hurt.
He left. That's right. He
got hurt, though, too, I think, as well.
He got hurt as well, but now he went to another team. I forgot who. Somebody else signed him, I think.
I'm lucky.
No, well, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure who their starter will be week 1, but I do feel like they are. I mean, it depends. It depends when Mahomes comes back, but I feel like they're due for a bounce-back season.
Phillip Rivers?
Oh, Cardinals.
Yeah,
Hello,
Cardinals.
Is this Phillip Rivers?
No, oh, God, Phillip Rivers. Get the fuck out of here with Phillip Rivers.
No, as for the Jets, I mean, yeah, it does. Geno Smith, it feels like, honestly, every year they're like, who's the worst available quarterback? Let's get him.
Hello,
like
is
last
it
year.
Breeze?
I mean, it seems like maybe their plan is. I mean, they don't plan to draft the quarterback, but maybe their plan is to tank again and get a quarterback next season. I guess.
Don't say
I
that
don't
word
know.
too
I don't.
loudly. Adam Stewart will find you.
I don't really know. You can't really ever know what the Jets are actually thinking. I mean,
It's a mystery box. You have no idea what's inside of it.
It's still a mystery.
What was that stupid episode of Family Guy where Peter was offered the boat or the mystery box? Oh, you don't know. It could be a box. And I'm like, that's the Jets. They're like, oh, you could have a great quarterback, you could have the box. And they're like, it's all a mystery. It could be anything. It could
get zonked.
It could be a crappy quarterback. We'll take the box. That's literally the Jets.
Oh, man. Well, that's the latest with the Jets, again, with them getting Justin Fields, or getting rid of Justin Fields, I should say, to Kansas City for a couple of late-round picks in 2027. Again, gentlemen, as we get to the empty the beverage segment here again, Venezuela holding off Italy within the last half an hour. 4-2, they win over the Italians. The espresso-driven Cinderella run comes to an end for Italy after they cannot survive the bullpen of Venezuela late in the ballgame. And the fans, of course, down there turn Miami into Caracas North. Mr. Taibbi, with Venezuela dispatching Italy tonight, is the momentum on their side, or is Team USA's pitching staff of the finals still too deep to silence their offense?
Well, first of all, I just got to say, great run by the Italians. I mean, I know they're mostly all American born, but still, like, it's, they put a great effort in this tournament. Obviously you could tell they were very enthused with the espresso and the celebrations. So, a great run by them, very unexpected and definitely exceeding expectations. Venezuela's got a pretty decent team. Obviously, they beat Japan, who were the defending champions.
It's a shocker, by the way, that even happened.
Right. I mean, they have literally, the best player on the planet in Shohei Ohtani, and they were able to beat them. And, they definitely have a lot of momentum coming into the final now. So it should be a good game. I still feel like the U.S. has a very deep bullpen that may ultimately make the difference here. But it could definitely go either way. I could definitely see Venezuela pulling the upset.
Now, Nick, the only, I think, hovering question mark around Team USA right now, even though Mark DeRosa's been getting fried, within the last week for, again, his mental state of mind, though, resting players versus the Italians when they lost that pool play game, thinking that they were already clinched and were in the bracket for the knockout stage after going 3-0, and they obviously laid the egg, though. But now, though, I think, Nick, the main question mark here that I've actually seen, though, on Padre Twitter and on Padre social media, now there's a question mark, Nick, about Mason Miller being available to close out for Team USA come Tuesday, though they've had the day off, though. I think he had to work extra hard, though, in that game against the DR on Sunday. Of course, he got out of the jam and won the game for them closing it out, though. But, though, Nick, I still think that this matchup favors Team USA because of the pitching depth. Again, Paul Skeens threw 71 pitches, though. 4 other relievers. I think it was Rogers, Jax, Whitlock, and Miller. 4 2/3 innings, 6 more strikeouts, no runs, 1 walk, I think, and they shut down a very good DR offense to win that game and move on to the final on Tuesday. But, Nick, what do you think, though, here with Venezuela knocking out Italy? Momentum on their side, or does Team USA pitching still have enough left in the tank to perhaps bring it home on Tuesday night?
Well, I think the momentum picked up when Team Japan was eliminated from the tournament.
And that took out the dark horse favorite.
Yeah, forget Italy. Yeah, forget Italy, forget Venezuela. Team USA is better than both those teams. And I actually think the toughest competition was the one that they beat last night in Dominican Republic.
Agreed.
I think that was the best offense, even over Team Japan, in the entire tournament. So they really, to be honest, should win this game easily against Venezuela, and we should be able to hoist the trophy again, hopefully, and then we'll see all the players become miserable again when they have to go back to spring training and actually care about baseball.
Yeah, as opposed to a 10-day break. But I think, though, Geno, I think you're on to a valid point, though. And I know that a lot of people, and I think we've all in a way have even said the same thing. I know Nick's been vocal about it, though, but I understand, though, obviously the Italian run, though, fueled by American-born players playing for their country, as has been the case with Israel, and certain players playing for the Czech Republic or playing for the DR, as Austin Wells did, though, because when they have family ties. Where my main thing is that there's not enough roster spots to have all the best guys play on every team across the board, and you may look at your ancestry DNA to find out where else I could play. I think I mentioned the Nick, though, for like Olympic competition. If there's too many guys for me on Team USA, from my perspective, okay, there's Ireland, there's Germany, there's Japan, there's, Denmark. There's other countries I could go and represent, though I'm not from there, but because of family lineage, I can go and do that. And I think, though, Dino, that your point, though, is so spot on, though. I think, though, that Vinny Pasquantino, though, said it so right, though, because, guys, I've gone to Italy to play international baseball. And, yes, it is not on the front page. If you go to Rome or Nettuno or Pisa or wherever. But it is, though, a growing sport, as I have documented on Small Market Edition about, how the hell is ice hockey in my market in San Diego and Southern California, where it's at today because, well, there was a Disney movie. Well, there was, this or that. But once the game gets planted there and you start, investing your time and effort to make the game where it is, a run like this by the Italian national team, though they're all from Jersey or from upstate New York or from the Northeast, that, though, I'm sure got a lot of attention, though, back in Rome and back in Nettuno and back in Italy, to get people to maybe get behind, baseball, turn away from from soccer over there for a little bit to go and watch baseball. So, Dino, what could this run by the Italian national team for baseball maybe do back in the motherland of Italy for maybe some casual fans who tuned in to watch the WBC and maybe got inspired or maybe got hyped about seeing Italian baseball being on the map in this tournament?
I mean, I could see some people paying attention to it just because, they are carrying the, Team Italy name. I could tell you most Italians are still going to be much more interested in Italy hopefully making the World Cup in about 10 days when they have a playoff to qualify. They have not qualified for the last two, and that's very disappointing for Italians. So they're definitely going to be paying much more attention to that. But for these few days, I could see where maybe they grab some headlines over there. And, maybe some people paid attention. Obviously the games were not exactly on at an ideal time. They would have been on at like the middle of the night. So, but, maybe they grabbed some headlines with the next day's papers.
Yeah, Nick,
For a few
I don't
days
think
at least.
Yeah, I don't think, Nick, it's like earth-shattering or like the needle has moved from empty to full on the gas gauge, though. But certainly, I think it did pick up some steam, as it builds to the crescendo of them getting to within a game of the final. I think even getting there may have, also prompted some, maybe some, public, like, hey, we're actually getting somewhere in something not named soccer for a change. But Nick, maybe your thoughts on this matter at hand here with the Italian national team for baseball. I know it's probably hard, though, because, hey, all these guys are from Jersey or from New York or from the East Coast, and they're only playing for the Italian team because they got 7 guys of that are Americans in front of them for Team USA. But still, I think, though, that this should be, though, a celebrated moment, though, for Italian baseball fans that do live over in Italy.
I don't know. I feel like this whole tournament, and we saw it with Team USA, where Mark DeRosa was given shit because he thought he didn't have to beat Team Italy to get through to the next round, which, by the way, Mark DeRosa should be fired and not allowed to manage in the next WBC because he was resting players thinking he knew the outcomes and scenarios. Italy had a good tournament, and Francisco Cervelli is a decent manager. Maybe he'll eventually get into managing at some point someday.
And I also think, in a way, to compare that too, Nick, I think Albert Pujols, did a great job too. Like, in a way, another audition maybe for a potential managerial job down in the future.
I was saying this earlier today. I could see Albert Pujols eventually, like, once they stop the bullshit with the Angels with the 1-year contract with Kurt Suzuki, they should bring Albert Pujols in to be the manager there.
That'd be something.
I think they should do, or someone should bring him in, like a more experienced franchise that is looking for a younger manager, willing to spend money.
Pujols to St. Louis if they can Marmol after the extension.
I wouldn't be against it. I mean, it would be a fan favorite. I'll say that.
That's for sure.
Even though it's funny that he was, if you look back at his years, he's spent more time with the Angels than he did with the Cardinals.
Correct.
Even though what? Go ahead.
No, I mean, I didn't even know that. I didn't. He's known so much as a St. Louis Cardinal, and not at all as an Angel. But
well, that 10-year contract, which I don't think he even barely got halfway through it.
I think he got to the 9th year before they cut him loose, and then he went to the Dodgers for part of a year. Then he went back to St. Louis when he hit his 700th career homer.
Yeah, but for like the last 4 or 5 years, he had a DH.
Yeah,
fully. The guy couldn't even play first base anymore. Like, I mean, look what happened to Bryce Harper. Like, the guy couldn't play in the outfield anymore. He's getting hurt so much.
Then I think he had Tommy John, believe it or not.
But remember, like he was going to be the big guy. And by the way, I still think Nationals fans are still laughing at Bryce Harper for winning a World Series after he left. By the way,
I mean, how ironic, right?
But I'm sure Scott Boras is laughing his way all the way to the bank, though, for what he got
of course.
Contract. But I don't know; those contracts just don't hold up anymore, and that's why the WBC scares me because. I don't like playing for your country is great. And don't get me wrong, Italy deserves a lot of credit for the way they played. But after WBC year, we don't think about this for another 4 years. Like the attention is great while the tournament is on, but then we forget about it once it's over.
Yeah. It's like international baseball, like it's not the same as like as like soccer where everybody thinks like, international soccer in addition to like the club soccer.
Correct.
Baseball is a little different, but obviously but I guess that's also part of why it's a little special while it's going on. I mean, it's only for like 2 weeks, it's just obviously it's just a shame, the timing, you have to be very scared of injuries that could affect.
Yeah, and that I think goes to a point I think that goes to a point though a lot of us have had those that when is the proper time for the World Baseball Classic? Because it's not in March. It certainly is not in season during the All-Star break, and certainly not after the season concludes.
And you know what? I'm tired of this dumb argument that people make towards me that, oh, well, they could get hurt when they walk outside their hotel and they could get run over by a bus. Like I'm tired of hearing that argument. Because it's not the same thing. That's a bad luck of the draw injury.
That's that's like a 1 in a billion of that happening.
So I don't want to hear that you could walk outside and get struck by lightning. Again, that's a happenstance thing that could happen. Go ahead.
If you think about it, like the Edwin Diaz injury that happened 3 years ago was while he was celebrating. It wasn't even in-game action.
Yeah, it was after a game they won over. And he hurt himself.
Well, no, it was after he got the last out.
Yeah.
It was right. It was after he got the last out, and he just jumped up and down celebrating the victory, and he happened to get hurt, which, of course, is like the most Mets thing ever, But
like, and people like yelled at me after I made that video a couple of years ago, like saying like, you're an idiot for saying that he shouldn't be there. It happened during a game. It was while the last out was going on. He got hurt. Like, and now you see in the actual regular season games, you notice they used to crowd the plate.
Now they don't. They give the guy enough room to touch the plate after a walk-off homer.
Who was the Angels player that got hurt?
Morales against Seattle.
It ended his season,
didn't
it?
Practically ended his career.
And you know what? I said it back then, too. You're an idiot if you manage to get hurt on a walk-off home run or when you're
on a celebration. I mean, especially a celebration of just a regular game. Like, even that Puerto Rico win that Edwin Diaz got hurt, it was only like a quarterfinal, I think. It wasn't even. It's not like they just won the championship.
Well, that's what bothered me. Like I said, look, if it was a WBC clinching victory and they won the whole tournament, go ahead, celebrate as much as you want. That's not what this was. Like you said, I think you're right. I think it was a quarterfinal game. It's not like they won the whole freaking tournament, for crying out loud. And then on top of that, the Mets had to pay all that off for him sitting out for a year.
Yeah.
Utter stupidity.
Yeah, and people were nasty to me. Like, the people were like, well, you're offensive. You hate the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, I do. I actually hate the World Baseball Classic because I don't want to see players get hurt. I swear, I would have gone off if Aaron Judge got hurt.
Of course.
In any way, shape, or form. Like, would you be upset if Tatis got hurt for the Dominican Republic?
That's why I said that, that's why it's been like proceed with caution for me, because I think the Padres, along with the Dodgers, may have had the most number of guys play for countries in the tournament, mainly the DR, Team USA, Team Italy, for example, that, go and play for your country, though, but you're also like holding your breath and cringing, especially in my case when Fernando dove headfirst into third base when Judge threw him out. Like, dude, you've hurt that shoulder who knows how many times in your career. Why are you going back to the well again in that situation? And, like in a way, though, too, like I said, hey, ownership situation, too, did they get insurance, whatever. But yes, I've been watching more of like proceed with caution. Yes.
14 years, $340 million for Tatis.
I know.
Okay. If he gets hurt, you don't think Padre ownership, regardless of who it is going to say, what the bleeping, what are you doing out in this tournament?
Pretty much.
But the ownership had to approve him to play.
And they did.
So if he gets hurt, I guess it's partially on the ownership.
Him, Machado, Bogarts, Miller, Marinaccio, you name it.
I'm kind of surprised that the Padres allowed that many like top-notch people in their lineup to go to the tournament. Unless the players have way more power than we realized.
Maybe. I will, but Machado has been a very much mainstay for the DR for the last 3 or 4 tournaments. He was even named team captain this year for them. Fernando got to play finally after missing out because of injuries in the last couple of years. Mason Miller, I think, is a first timer, I want to say. That's why I think that there's a question mark about him pitching on Tuesday. But, at the end of the day, who really knows at this rate? And, we're not going to see this tournament again, guys, until probably 2029, if we're lucky, if not the Summer Olympics in 28, if there's no season.
Well, it's every 4 years. So,
yeah, who knows?
Especially with the CBA coming up and all that stuff. Who knows when we get
By
anything?
The way, we were talking about, the game with Venezuela tomorrow, and I think a huge factor is the fact that the U.S. is going to have the day of rest today because they, their bullpen, which obviously had to work very hard to get that DR lineup out last night, is going to have the day off today. So, whereas Venezuela does not. So that's definitely going to give them a huge edge as well.
That is a hell of a point, Dino. Why, if you're the tournament, why would you not have both semifinal games the same day where nobody has an advantage of a day off?
Yeah, having that extra day is a huge advantage for a bullpen especially.
So, that's a very, very valid point to say the least. Guys, going to bench money with NFL free agency. Again, we're going to go back to the quarterback shuffle beyond the Fields move. Again, Geno Smith back to the Jets, while Geno Smith got a bag in Indianapolis for, I think, a 2-year deal for $88 million. Nick Morgeson, which team made the smarter investment? The Chiefs getting a dynamic backup in Fields, or the Jets bringing Geno back for a homecoming, or Daniel Jones, despite getting injured last season, securing a huge deal with the Colts?
Neither. Neither. I think both are bad. Like we just said, the Fields deal, who cares? He's not going to amount to anything. The Daniel Jones contract shocked me a lot. That he got 2 years, $88 million, with the potential for that contract to be up to $100 million.
Coming off of a ripped Achilles too, when they were 8-0 to start the season at one point.
9-0. 9-0. And then I don't think they won a game the rest of the year. I think they finished 9-8. And everyone said, "Oh, well, get ready. It's going to be the trip to the Super Bowl for the Colts." And I'm like, can we calm down? Can Daniel Jones get through a season before we talk about Super Bowl? And obviously that came to fruition. He gets hurt badly. That's when the whole Phillip Rivers fiasco takes place. Which, by the way, was dumb.
Yes.
But both moves are bad. Nothing is good about any of these moves whatsoever. The Colts were desperate. So Daniel Jones had some leverage in this case. So if I had to pick one, it's probably Daniel Jones because, again, the Chiefs are basically getting Justin Fields for nothing.
And I believe, I saw that the Jets still, I think, are paying, $8 million of the salary that he's owed, as opposed to the Chiefs paying $3 million on that. So, Dino, where does the bench money for you go, though? The Chiefs getting Fields, Geno back to the Jets for his second tour of duty with the Jets, Jets, or Daniel Jones's bag in Indy despite the ripped Achilles last season?
That's a tough one. None of them really are great moves. I mean, the best quarterback out of the three is probably Daniel Jones. Not that he's that good. I mean, obviously he had a great, half a season until he got hurt. I feel like they overpaid, but potentially it is Daniel Jones. Geno Smith, come on. He's 35 years old. He threw 17 interceptions, and he's going back to the team that drafted him that he sucked for. So, and then Justin Fields, let's face it, he's Justin Fields honestly is more of a college quarterback. He's not an NFL quarterback. Like he can run like those option plays, but he can't really throw. So I mean, obviously, I'm sure the Chiefs don't plan to use him long term. I don't know if they're gonna get anybody else to replace Mahomes for the first few weeks. I don't know. I mean, maybe they could make it work with him, but I doubt it. Like he just can't throw. So I think out of those three, I gotta say Daniel Jones just by default, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go Daniel Jones only for the fact that at least he's proven himself. Though again, he had the Achilles injury last season at this rate. But I mean, there's just something about Justin Fields though that and I think though, guys, this happens a lot though, and I say this a lot, even as someone who doesn't watch the NFL, but I have long noticed a trend, though, sometimes with certain quarterbacks who we hype up a lot in college. This is even back when I was watching the NFL, over 9 years ago. There were certain quarterbacks, though, that we would, in a way, hype up. We would, fall in love with because they won a lot in college. All the success in the world. And then they get to the NFL, though, with a crap organization, usually when they're picked, 1, 2, or 3. And their game doesn't translate to the NFL. And I have long been of the belief, even as a disgruntled former NFL get off my lawn football person, that even then though, guys, there's something that always seems to not go right. But also when you go though from winning so much in college, like a Tagovailoa, a Trevor Lawrence, anybody who's not an overhyped, but a hyped quarterback prospect, when you have all the success, how do you handle failure when you go to a team like Carolina or go to the Jets, for example, or the Giants, and you don't win right away? How does that in a way, rattle your psyche because you've gone from, wins across the board and bowl game wins, playoff wins, maybe a national championship, but you don't know how to handle the failure because you've always been succeeding, and hitting every button that you can, though, which, in a way shows the gap between college and the NFL, though. But there's just certain quarterbacks like a Justin Fields, for example, even a damn Ryan Leaf, though he had his other, his own problems. You can be a hell of a college quarterback, fellas, but you get to the NFL, it's welcome to the big leagues. And a lot of these guys, sadly, become bust after a couple of years. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah. I would say that a lot of guys are not tough enough sometimes to be in the NFL because they're so used to the college rank. And going to the NFL, going to any professional league out of college is a wake-up call to some of these guys. And I think in Major League Baseball, the joke is made the best, where you have a guy who is amazing in AAA but can't make it to Major League Baseball.
They're a quadruple A player, yes.
They're a quadruple A player because they just don't. They're too good for AAA, but they're not good enough for the majors. So And you get a lot of college basketball players who are like that, where they played so well in college basketball that their game doesn't translate to the NBA, or injuries got them. Greg Oden stands out as one of those guys, where he was one of the better college basketball players in history for Ohio State. He just couldn't stay healthy because he was a dunk dominant guy. Like, he was a rebound machine. He could literally do anything. And then he got to the NBA. He just couldn't stay healthy. I think for Portland, if I'm not mistaken. But
yes, the Blazers, yes.
So the game doesn't always translate to the professional level for athletes. You have to make yourself fit in these professional leagues to be a star, to build the brand. But if you don't play well, then you're not going to survive.
Exactly. All right, folks, top of the hour here. A quick mention, by the way, for March Madness. We are running a ESPN.com March Madness Bracket Challenge group. So visit ESPN.com. Search underneath the Men's Tournament Challenge. Go to the directory and search Empty the Bench Network or Empty the Bench. Fill out your bracket. You got 2 days to figure it out. So after the first 4 games wrap up on Tuesday and Wednesday, get those brackets in by Thursday morning at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And let's have some fun over the course of this March Madness tournament. I always love filling out brackets. So this will be fun.
I love the brackets. By the way, speaking of brackets, I wasn't going to bring it up, but did you see the stupid thing Kalshi's doing with the
$1 billion perfect bracket challenge?
Like, come on, man! Like, really, Kalshi? Like, go back to dealing with legal litigation. Stop it with. I bet you they don't even have $1 billion.
Yeah, a lot like that that one gambling partner we had called NOVIG.
I'd love to see. I hope somebody hits a perfect bracket.
I mean, it's nearly impossible.
Oh, it's like 1 in 120 million.
I think your odds are better of hitting the lottery, actually, than getting a perfect bracket.
Yeah,
I want to look this up just because Kalshi's been like shoving it down like social media's face. Yeah,
well, remember the year though where like Warren Buffett promised like $1 million of his own money with Intuit or Quicken Loans or whoever.
A lot of different brands do it. I saw something else. I forgot what
those challenges never work because no one ever gets them.
Yeah, because they know it's not going to happen. So.
I wonder if they even have the money. Like Kalshi says, because this is a legal thing now that they've put it out there.
I mean, could you imagine if somebody were to do it? Like, it's,
I would love for Nick DiMartino, our weekend lounge host, to do a bracket, enter it, and if he wins it, they give him like 25 cents back because of the whole Cardi B rant he had against him about the Super Bowl.
No, but it literally says $1 billion Kalshi perfect bracket challenge. $1 billion for a perfect bracket, $1 million guaranteed to the top scoring bracket, and $1 million to charity and scholarships.
So they are giving $1 million to.
And they have all the rules here. Let's see.
No purchase necessary. You must be 18 years old to play.
So it says, wow, if every game were a pure 50 for 50 statistical event, the odds of a perfect bracket would be a whopping 1 in 9.2 quintillion.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Well, I think Dino's right. You might have a better chance of winning the lottery.
The lottery is like 1 in 292 million, I think, for like Mega Millions.
Sounds about right.
So your chances are way better at the lottery.
I still remember in 2012, Christy says, I still remember in 2012 where I did a bracket for shits and giggles and Lehigh University beat Duke and destroyed my bracket. There's always that one game.
This is crazy, though. So it says, the official odds is 1 in 120 billion is the official odds. What? And it says here, they let you to visualize what that means. 1 grain in 80 truckloads of rice, if you find it somewhere in there. 1 sheet in a stack of paper as tall as 27,000 Empire State Buildings. 1 bracket per second for 38,000 years.
Jeez.
Or 1 pixel in a wall of 14,500 4K screens.
Things that defy logic.
I'm telling you, I want to see someone win this so that they're forced to pay out the $1 billion.
Absolutely.
It would be funnier if one of
Is
us
there a
did it.
disclaimer that says it's
That's why I said D-Mart should do it for that exact reason.
Oh, wait. Here's the rules.
50
Okay.
it's like 50 annual installments, maybe something like that?
Wait, so here's the rules. So it's free to enter. Okay. Kind of figured that one out. 18 plus U.S. residents only. Interesting. Yeah. New York and Florida residents are not eligible for this offer. What? Gee, I wonder why. So
Look at all the failure.
Dino, that means you and I can't enter it.
Look at all the failure.
Shucks. Let's see.
You suck.
1 bracket per user.
You suck.
Each participating verified Calsh account is entitled to 1 single bracket. All brackets must be submitted before tip-off of the first game on March 29th, 2026, or 1 p.m. Eastern Time of March 19th.
Make it make sense to me.
Yeah, I wish I could, Michael K. A participant who correctly predicts every single game in the tournament is eligible for the $1 billion prize. If no winner correctly predicts every single game, the participant with the highest scoring bracket is eligible for $1 million prize. In the event of any tie, any prize will be divided equally among eligible winners. Wait, so that means if there's more than multiple perfect brackets,
you're splitting the pot with strangers. What the hell is this?
And it says we're accepting oh wait, there's even more of a catch. We're accepting a maximum of 10 million total entries. You would have to be psychic to get. Well, yeah, true. Well, if I'm psychic, I want to do more than just get the bracket correct.
Give me the lottery numbers, damn it.
I'm just looking. Oh, I love this. So under the FAQs, it says, "Is this real?" Yes, this is real.
Clown show, clown show, clown show, clown show.
I just find it funny. Oh, and then it says, "What charity are you donating to?" And it says they're donating to a nonprofit, which is granting $500,000 as part of its challenge. Oh, it says we're also giving $500,000 to Devin Booker's charity, the starting 5. So it's funny that comes up. I don't know, Callan, if you saw this on social media. So Devin Booker is now what? An investor,
owner of Kalshi.
An ownership investor in Kalshi. What? Hey, Adam, where are you?
Aspiration.
I thought we were not supposed to be owners in gambling companies. Did I miss the memo?
Well,
there?
they're not really gambling. They're a prediction market.
Dino, come on.
Just classified differently.
Dino.
I mean, they might be differently classified, but now there's 2 to maybe 3 NBA players taking ownership now of Kalshi.
I mean, Giannis, Kevin Durant.
Obviously, it's it's just all legal terms. We know it's actually gambling, but they're classified as a market that, under the Beaker is too busy kissing players' ass. Yeah, well, I mean, we all know that in the NBA, the players, I would say the NBA is the league where the players have the most control.
I get it, but we have rules over gambling, and now we're allowing players to own percentages of gambling companies.
And to the point, too, that Nick and I have long talked about, though, too, regarding the simple fact, though, as well, that, the NBA has had this gambling scandal since October, and they keep batting an eye at it, along with the whole aspiration crap.
I just find it funny because Devin Booker is now, obsessively, compulsively, promoting Kalshi all over his social media. And I just, this would never have been allowed under David Stern. Ever.
No,
Ever.
absolutely not.
And if anyone got caught gambling, their ass would have been hauled out of the NBA and never heard from again. Well,
Yeah.
except for Jonte Porter.
No, I mean, he got clobbered because of what had gone on, though, with what we knew about him. So,
But how are these guys any different than Jonte Porter?
yeah, exactly. I mean, now Porter gambled on games, as we've talked about, but still, how does this situation differ from what Porter had done, though, when he was in Toronto with the Raptors and their G League club with Raptors 905?
I mean, I'm going to look this up because I'm curious, because I found out, and I don't know if you know this, but apparently if you own under 1% of a gambling company, it's legal within the rules for a player to own, which that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Let's see. Devin Booker ownership.
Make it make sense to me.
As far as I know, players are allowed to gamble on other sports, just not on the NBA.
Or the sport they play in, yeah.
Right, the sport they play, exactly. So, like, if you're a baseball player, you can't bet on baseball. If you're a basketball player, you can't bet on basketball. I mean, if I don't think he's a part owner, but LeBron James has a big partnership with DraftKings.
And Nick and I talked about that for God knows how long on Press Row.
And I think that's a conflict of interest. I think that's a huge conflict of interest.
And a lot of times, if you go on DraftKings, like on NFL Sundays, they'll put like LeBron James's picks for NFL games.
Well, they have like the LeBron James parlay or whatever they put out.
But obviously, they'll always have like a featured. Okay, like these are LeBron James's picks for the day, but it's only like for NFL. He's not allowed to do that for NBA.
But I don't think athletes should be allowed to have any influence over gambling at all. Like,
what if they're a former player? Just out of curiosity, what if they're a former player?
Well, once you're out of the league, you can do whatever you want.
Because the NHL uses Paul Bissonnette for their DraftKings ads on television during NHL games, for example.
Because he works for Barstool and he works for
TNT
TV networks now. He not involved in the game by any means. He can't be a coach anymore if he wanted to be a coach or
player development, work in a front office somewhere.
Couldn't do that, but I think he's doing just fine the way he is right now. But I don't know. So I just looked it up. They're saying he has no ownership. He's connected through his charity, which they're granting him $500,000. You don't think that's a little shady? A little?
How is that any different from aspiration? Using the foundation in a way to circumvent in some capacity?
Well, he's not. This has nothing to do with the Suns. But I do think
it still feels shady.
It feels shady because
if you know what I mean.
I went to his Twitter account and he put a whole ad out for the $1 billion perfect bracket. Come on, man. Are you going to lie and say that he's not involved some way with Kalshi?
Did you notice that the joke I said went right over everybody's head?
What?
It feels shady for a guy on the Phoenix Suns to be working with Kalshi.
Oh, no, I got it. I know what you mean.
Yes, I crack myself up, people. Just get used to it. Guys, back to March Madness, though. The most unusual 11 seed goes to the feel-good story of the entire basketball season, away from Nick and LIU, but Miami, Ohio, enters this bracket this upcoming week as one of the most polarizing teams in history, going 31-0 before a stunning round one loss in the MAC quarterfinals. Despite their record, they are in a play-in game as the number 11 seed in the first four due to having the 339th worst-ranked strength of schedule. Dino, are the Red Hawks a legitimate mid-major powerhouse that was disrespected by the committee, or a 31-win mirage that will get bullied by SMU and Dayton on Tuesday or on Wednesday in the first four?
I mean, I feel like really they, usually the MAC does not get a second bid. So the fact that they got it, is probably unprecedented. But I don't think the committee could ignore the fact that they had an undefeated regular season
until they got to the MAC tournament and they stubbed their toe.
Right. I mean, yes, and the fact that they lost, actually, what was it, the quarterfinal they lost in?
Round one of the MAC
I
tournament.
thought I
Quarterfinals.
thought that might have actually been enough to keep them out, believe it or not. I'm not saying they deserve to be out. I do believe they deserve to be in based on their undefeated regular season. I almost thought that the fact that they lost in the quarterfinal might have been like the nail in the coffin for them, but they managed to get in. They're in, obviously one of the first 4 games. I believe they're like 6.5-point underdogs, actually.
Which is shocking.
I think you're right.
The fact that they're that big an underdog despite having only 1 loss in the season is a little jarring, but you just have to take into account that they didn't really face like any quad 1 teams, whereas SMU is not a great team, but at least they're coming out of a major conference. So I believe they deserve to make it just based on the record, but I don't know. They might surprise us. They might at least keep that game close, I think, but we'll see if they could actually pull off the upset.
I think they might actually win that game, despite where the line might be or the spread might be for this one. Of course, though, Nick is laid out here, though, again, 339th ranked strength of schedule, again, 31-0 regular season, but again, had the stubbing of the toe, though, in the MAC quarterfinals, though. Obviously, a lot of people could look at who was left out of this, though, with the first 4 out, though, that, was Oklahoma. San Diego State was left out. Auburn got left out. Obviously, Bruce Pearl had a field day talking about his son and the nepotism on that broadcast on Sunday was so embarrassing for CBS. And I think Indiana was also first 4 out, though, too. I think away from Miami, Ohio, though, I think what was stunning for me with my own, WCC bias, 3 schools make it from the West Coast Conference. Gonzaga, who, of course, won the conference tournament. They've, been wire to wire. St. Mary's getting into was a bit of a shock, though. But, of course, Santa Clara, Nick, as we've talked about, though, was in a way marred by the NBA G League pipeline of Charlie Darling, who, again, I had said, though, had, played against, USD during the course of the season, and that they were, like a third team who got in, which, again, was shocking for the West Coast Conference to get 3 teams in, but they were kind of, in a way, forecasted to be getting those 3 teams in, though. But, Nick, though, I think that the committee, though, could they have maybe put Miami not in a play-in game? I think they could have put them in despite the early exit in the MAC tournament, though. But, Nick, overall thoughts, though, about where, in fact, a 31-0 regular season team who loses their first game, though, quarterfinal round of the MAC tournament, though, or comes from and gets in, though, but in a play-in scenario come this week.
So this goes back to my argument again with college football. Again, I wish they would throw the freaking ranking systems down the toilet, and I wish they would just go away with it. I'm tired of you're a 31-0 undefeated team, and you don't make the actual tournament field. You're the first 4 in. Tell me how that makes any sense. And again, this is going to sound elementary when I say it. When we start the season, what is our goal every single year to do?
Play to win the game, regardless of who you're playing against.
And even though it's a ridiculous and outrageous goal, the goal is to win every single game. You go out there and you play. What did the Red Hawks do?
They won 31 games in the regular season, but heaven forbid they lose one in the MAC tournament that they barely get in by the seat of their pants.
And I don't care what your 31-0 record is. You play the schedule that's on the paper, okay? It doesn't matter who it's against. I don't care about strength of schedule. I don't care. You win 31 games and you go undefeated, that is a hard thing to do. Okay, and you don't get a bid? You don't get an at-large bid? Give me a break. And the reason they put these stupid ranking systems, I'm going to let you in on a secret, okay? Because the reason they do these ranking systems is because they want to make sure they get every big market team into this damn tournament. And this goes back to what you say, Callan, all the time. Mr. Small Market, Mr. Mid-Major here. They don't want those teams in the tournament. It hurts the rankings of the tournament. That they're never going to admit that. But in their minds, they want every big team. It goes back to the NBA situation. They would rather have Knicks and Lakers every single year in the NBA Finals, or Celtics Lakers in the NBA Finals, even though OKC and Indiana did huge ratings over the last couple of years. I guarantee you the NBA was pissed off that those two teams made it to the finals. Okay? I could give two shits what the ratings are. If I get a good March Madness tournament and it has some small market teams, I'm all for it. Okay? How many times do I have to see Duke and UNC and all these teams? They're always going to be at the top because they have more NIL money than everybody else out there. But maybe I want to see a small market team win. What was that team? UMBC?
Who beat Virginia, number 16, beating number 1. First time ever.
And then what was the other team? Well, Loyola, obviously, which you just
Loyola Chicago. Well, they're from Chicago, but they are a mid-major.
Right, which is you're going to have a whole small market edition on that actually coming out, next week?
This Friday, yes.
Which you do a good job telling that whole story of how the Sister Jean thing, which a lot of people were a little not nice about that whole situation when it was going on, because people said, oh, how can Sister Jean be the reason they're winning the game? I mean, was it the exact reason they won the games? No, but it gave them a reason and a purpose to come together as a team and win.
And to Nick's point, by the way, this past Friday we had an episode about these particular storylines, like in Miami, Ohio, teams that get overlooked, not because of marketplace, as Nick was kind of alluding to, but the episode that just came out last Friday documents, Jim Valvano in 83, with them winning at the final buzzer with the putback dunk by Lorenzo Charles. It talked about, my university beating UConn in 2008, the final buzzer. That was a 13 seed USD team beating the number 4 seed Jim Calhoun-led Huskies on Easter Sunday, where I ran around my backyard because I actually picked my school to beat UConn that year, which I know was blasphemous back then, but we actually beat them in 2008. And then we talked about, Florida Gulf Coast and UMBC.
FGCU.
FGCU. UMBC.
How about St. Peter's?
St. Peter's.
I don't think
they made the Elite Eight as a 15 seed.
Yeah, I didn't get to that one, sadly, but there were other, La Loyola Marymount, LA in California. After Hank Gathers had passed away in 90, they got to the Elite Eight too after they, literally saw their teammate die, on the floor during that conference tournament in 1990. So those stories are why that we love March Madness. Furman winning over Virginia, where Kevin Harlan, falling out of his chair. Loyola Chicago, Georgia Southern, Northern Iowa.
Fairleigh Dickinson over
FDU.
Purdue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. FDU pulling up the upset. So, I mean, that I think, though, is why, guys, March Madness is very much...
Actually, I think we're forgetting probably the most successful mid-major, which was Butler making the final 2 years in a row.
Exactly.
And that's my issue here with this, that the tournament, the NCAA officials, the committee that picks the teams, I think we need to do away with the committee system and let the records do the talking. Because we all know that the NCAA is corrupt partially as an organization, because they're going to want every big team that they could possibly get, because they want to make their money too. As much as these other teams are being given money to compete. And I'm kind of curious, what every team gets for making March Madness, how much they get paid. Okay, so they each get $2 million just for making the tournament. That's even before playing a game.
Every team gets that, regardless of seeding.
So it says March Madness teams, they do not receive direct immediate cash payments, but their conference earns units worth approximately $2 million each. These units are based on tournament performance and paid out over 6 years, incentivizing deeper runs. But they get paid.
Yeah, they get money for their athletic departments, I'm sure.
But God forbid small teams make the tournament to make a run, and the NCAA, we can't do that. That takes away from all the money, or God forbid TV. People are not going to want to watch, I don't know, all those matchups we talked about, Fairleigh Dickinson, Purdue, or UMBC, Virginia, or St. Peter's versus Kentucky, which ended up going on a run. I mean, I don't get it. Florida Gulf Coast was probably one of the bigger upsets that we saw. So I don't know. I don't know.
Those stories really are what make the tournament. That's why it's called March Madness to begin with, because of these crazy, last second wins and upsets and just these big, upsets that you're not expecting, like a Florida Gulf Coast beating Michigan State and all these, that's really why it's called March Madness to begin with.
And kind of in a way, to a point that I think Nick brought up, that there was some speculation that the tournament might expand eventually, or what have you. But I think Nick's right, though, that the committee does this crap to a team like Miami, Ohio, because it's one of those, you don't belong here. Like Nick was saying, though, I think
you're undefeated,
and I think I saw somebody say that on social media. I forgot where I saw the post, though. I think it may have been on Twitter, but someone said this right here is an example of why March Madness loves to exclude these, schools, because they don't, it's this or that, mid-major, small conference. Who cares? What if they go on a run, as we've been kind of saying, though, over the last couple of minutes here on the program.
By the way, I see a clip here. I don't know who this is.
What do we got?
SMU head coach Andy Enfield.
Yes, that is who Miami, Ohio plays in the first 4 this week.
So apparently he took a shot, and there's a video clip. We could probably play it.
Let's see it.
But let me just read it to make sure it's accurate, because you never know with social media. So Andy Enfield took a shot at college football analysts who thought Miami of Ohio didn't deserve to make the NCAA tournament. And the quote before we look at the video: "Some people just need to be quiet on air. I think Miami of Ohio deserves to be there." Oh, wait.
That was a direct shot at Bruce Pearl for his earlier commentary before the MAC tournament began.
Oh, I think he was taking a shot saying that they deserve to be there.
Yes. But also he took a pot shot at Bruce Pearl because he's been the one spewing so much BS about they don't deserve to be there.
All right. Can we fire Bruce Pearl, please? Yeah. Because nepotism alike, by the way, which he won't shut up about Auburn, by the way.
That's why I said I wanted to puke watching the selection show on Sunday, because of that exact reason.
He couldn't even remember who Caitlin Clark was, for crying out loud. What did he call her? What? I have to see if I can find this, because he called her some ridiculous last name, and I'm like, who? What? Oh, Caitlin Smith. He called her Caitlin Smith. I thought he was
he was talking about Caitlin Clark.
He was talking about Caitlin Clark. He called her Caitlin Smith.
I'm a dumbass.
Well, yeah. I thought he was kidding originally, and then they found out that he didn't remember her name.
I'm a dumbass.
I mean, that's the biggest name in sports. You can't remember her last name.
I don't know, guys.
We
All right.
threw out his name.
All right, fellas, going underneath the coaster. Of course, Nick and Dino, tonight was supposed to be Magic City night in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Hawks game versus Orlando, but the NBA stepped in to kill the promotion at hour number 11. Dino, did the league overstep their boundaries on a local culture play, or was a strip club night always a PR disaster just waiting to happen down in the ATL on Monday night?
Yeah, I think I made my point about this last week, which was, yeah, it was a bad idea for a promotion, but I did feel like the NBA overstepped a little bit in canceling it, because, yes, ultimately, when you're putting on an NBA game, you're representing the NBA and the league. But it was an in-arena promotion, so I kind of felt like if the Hawks ownership felt so strongly about this, that they should have been allowed to go ahead with it. But I did not think it was a good idea for an NBA team to have that kind of promotion when you have, kids and families in the crowd. So, obviously the NBA could have given their opinion in that they should cancel the promotion, I'm not so sure if they should have had the authority to actually cancel it for the Hawks ownership. That's just
Nick,
my
obviously,
opinion.
Nick, obviously, we had talked at length on Press Row the last 2 weeks, though, leading up to tonight, regarding the situation. Where again, Dino, I think obviously, I think made a good point though that the Hawks had the idea, but the NBA overrules the franchise because of business interest, stakeholder investment. Where again, it kind of went to my point though too, Nick, about why would we celebrate this kind of night, but we won't honor a Pride night or a military appreciation night or a, stand up to cancer night in Major League Baseball? So, again, Nick, thoughts about the night that was supposed to be down in Atlanta at State Farm Arena between the Hawks and Magic this evening?
I think the NBA did the right thing, believe it or not, because the Hawks were going to go through with this night if the NBA did not step in. You have to remember, sports, the demo, a lot of it is kids. A lot of it is younger kids who trying to get acclimated with sports, trying to learn leadership, trying to learn camaraderie, chemistry. I don't think a strip club night made the most sense for kids and families being in the building. I mean, you got to think about your audience.
Correct.
And I get it. I know that. And people make this dumb excuse. Well, it's the real world, so you have to get used to the real world and real world problems or real world things that happen. No, you don't. Not strip clubs in front of kids. You think about I don't know what the right word is, censorship. Think about the issues that come along. Because then kids get the wrong message sent to them that they're watching. Oh, well, every time I go to a game, that means there must be a strip club atmosphere going on. Imagine that's like the first game they're getting introduced to.
Right.
When they walk inside the arena and they see strip clubs and they see all this stuff going on as a promotion. The NBA is within their right, because it's an NBA team under the NBA banner, to stop a promotion that's inside any of their NBA arenas. If you don't like the rules, then sell your team and go somewhere else. Okay.
Right. And like, in a way, like, my hockey team on Friday is doing a Pride night, for example, on Friday. Like, they're going to be, I think, wearing jerseys for warm-ups that will be auctioned off to benefit LGBTQ plus awareness around San Diego, which, again, I don't know if people know, but San Diego is one of the biggest Pride festivals every summer here in Hillcrest that has been going on for forever. And it really is a big shot in the arm, though, to the to the city and stuff. And I get it, though. Well, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, doing that, but at the end of the day, though, when you keep excluding members of your population because they don't feel welcomed, that's why a night like Pride Night means something. That's why a military appreciation night means something to fans out there. Again, it may not reflect your perspective or your views, though, but who's not to say, though, about that, about other people going to the game for the first time or just in general.
I think also, and I think you and I have talked about this many times in Press Row, I said, you want to have a 21 and older night, go hold it at a bar if you want to go have this type of event. Because then you could go do strip club night all you want at a bar or at an actual club. And if the NBA wants to or the Hawks want to go sponsor that event, I would have no problem with that if they went in to promote events.
Just not within the confines of your arena during a game.
Correct. And a lot of people say, oh, the NBA is overstepping their bounds. I know why they're saying that, because of the whole gambling probe situation, that they didn't step in until the situation. But did they step in? They did.
Yes.
They finally stepped in. So, and people say, well, the NBA has no jurisdiction. They do. It's the players. Okay? It's players and head coaches that are currently contracted by NBA teams, which is run by the NBA. The NBA's got to protect its image at that point. So they had to get rid of all the people that were in the gambling ring. Same thing for strip clubs. Now, I get it. Athletes and all this stuff behind the scenes, you have no idea what athletes do behind the scenes on their off time.
Precisely.
At all, whatsoever. But at the same time, all leagues try to clean up their image and act like these players don't do anything behind the scenes, which is another issue in itself. Yeah. But the NBA is totally 100% within their rights to stop this because you're still using all the NBA licenses. You're still using all the NBA royalties to put on events every single time. So, yes, the NBA is fully within their right to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, 1,000% agreed. And obviously, minor league sports where I work with the HO, we're, a little bit different, though, because every league or the league welcomes the cancer night where teams wear the cancer colored jerseys. They welcome the pride nights and the military appreciation nights where, again, that helps in a way bring more awareness, more eyeballs to those specific games out there. And obviously, soccer, I think, guys, as you probably know or don't know, that's also a sport, though, that has, to Nick's point, had censorship problems, though, where supporter groups like mine, in San Diego sometimes will face the backlash of having a pride flag or a trans flag up in the supporter section, where, again, the NWSL has long been at the forefront of those issues, too, and they have, in a way, faced their own, sanctions or scrutiny. But, again, if you keep excluding members of the population out of your sport, you're not, in a way, being about basketball being for everybody, hockey being for everybody. If you keep excluding these nights, that actually means something. Again, a strip club night for me doesn't move the needle. Where is your crossover night with the Braves, the Falcons? As I've already been saying, though, if you're gonna honor city culture and city pride, do a hip hop night, do a night with the Braves, but don't be doing this crap though with the damn strip club.
There's just so many better ways to honor your city's culture, and also, doing a night where it's sponsored by a specific strip club that happens to be famous in your city really has nothing to do with a pride night. Like, comparing one to the other really makes no sense, because one of them is about celebrating people of a certain, orientation.
It's more than the fact, I hear it a lot from people that will not go to a Pride Night game because they don't want to be watching, or seeing, the rainbow flag up in an arena or a team wearing a rainbow colored jersey for pregame warmups, but they'll go and watch a game that has a strip club night to it. So that's more of my point, though, in a way.
Well, and I didn't really want to go this route, but it kind of makes I understand, unfortunately, why the censorship route is a problem, because think about the nightclub shootings, unfortunately, we had due to the LGBTQ bars
in Orlando. Yes.
Think about the one in Orlando. We've had a few of them, actually. And if I remember correctly, the one in Orlando included, I'm forgetting her name all of a sudden. Christina Grimmie, who was a big time. She was on The Voice. She made it to the end, unfortunately, and ended up getting killed, unfortunately, in that club. It's things like that unfortunately, like the franchises are afraid because they don't want their events being put in danger. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's politically correct, but I'm saying that they're looking at all these things and saying, we have a lot of people that are inside our arena. And if something happens, it's on us. If something happens, unfortunately.
Christy wanted to clarify she was killed the day before the Orlando shooting took place. Apparently.
I think it was at the same place, though. I'm not mistaken.
Nightclub, yes.
But that was a crazy situation. Like, I think that was literally an LGBTQ bar, if I'm not mistaken, right? And unfortunately, those places are in way more danger.
And I think ever since that, Orlando City and the Orlando Pride of Major League Soccer and the NWSL have had a rainbow-colored rows of seats for the victims who were killed that night. And then I think of the Vegas Golden Knights, who retired the number 58, I think, for the victims of the Jason Aldean shooting at Mandalay Bay during Route 91, which a friend of mine or a couple friends of mine were actually at. And
that was scary, too.
Terrifying.
Yeah, that was really terrifying.
That one was probably the biggest wake-up call, honestly.
But that's part of the problem why they won't do a Pride Night at arenas. Because think about how big some of these sporting events are. Soccer included. We're talking about tens of thousands of people. Baseball, NBA, NFL. Now, I think there's more of a different issue, and that's why they won't have Pride nights in certain arenas.
Of course.
But I think it's more the danger factor that they're worried about.
That's understandable, though.
But I'm not saying it's right. Let me be very clear about that. Like, if you're going to have a strip club night, fine. Go have your strip club night. But then you got to have an LGBTQ night, a military night.
That was my point.
And again, to be honest,
I'm not so sure that one really has to do with the other, though. Like,
I think what Callan is getting at is they're calling one of them culture when it's really not culture. Yeah. But
yes,
you could claim that LGBTQ night is part of culture. You could claim military night is part of culture, but you don't see you see those get more backlash than the strip club.
Yeah, and Pride and Military Night are two of the biggest nights that I look forward to when the Gulls host them because of San Diego's history. As I said about, the large influx of tourists who come here for the Pride Festival every July, though, and of course San Diego, Fighter Town, USA, home of the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps for all these years. Hoorah, Semper Fi. Those two nights mean a lot to the city, believe it or not, as opposed to celebrating Pacers nightclub where Tommy Pham got stabbed during the 2020 baseball season for the Padres.
Right. I mean, and I just wanted to look this up just to clarify for the Magic Monday promotion, whatever they were.
Magic City Monday or
Magic
whatever
City
it was called.
Monday. But it just says there was a bunch of discounts, and I think the reason they called it culture is because I think T.I. was supposed to
perform, I think, yes.
I mean, I know they billed it as a celebration of Atlanta culture, but there's definitely better ways to honor the Atlanta
Which went
culture.
To my point, where's the hip hop night to honor Ludacris and Outkast and the great artists who've come through Atlanta? Where's the sporting culture crossover with, like, here's players from the Braves, here's Michael Penix Jr., here's guys from Atlanta United and from the new NWSL team, more of that as well, plus the hip hop culture, as I was kind of alluding to as well.
So I've had the chance to go to Atlanta because I got to see the first year of the ballpark. I got to be there the inaugural season of Truist Park. Oh, and there's a lot to do down there, believe it or not. Get the Magic City Strip Club. I can give two shits. I mean, they have a full big market down there. They've got... Yeah. I think I went to Coca-Cola, which is down there.
They've got development around. They have development around the ballpark now in Atlanta. You've got the Falcons in their new stadium.
But because people say, "Oh, well, that's entertainment." Guys, I went down to Atlanta. Like I said, I got to tour the Coca-Cola plant that was down in Atlanta. I got to go to because our hotel was actually in CNN Center, the actual hotel that you could stay in. And we literally were allowed to walk around CNN, TBS, True TV, all those studios around there that they do all the shows out of. That's more enticing to me than some stupid strip club in Atlanta. And I don't want to hear lemon pepper wings. I'm getting tired of hearing that too. I don't care. I mean, I think I heard Lou Williams was supposed to be part of the promotion also because he stupidly violated a COVID rule.
Because you had to go get them damn wings, baby.
But, and I find it hilarious because Front Office Sports did a story saying that the Hawks stand by the promotion. Why are you standing by the promotion? Why?
Stubbornness.
So the NBA, shouldn't the message be clear that if the NBA stepped in, that maybe you should rethink, the proximity of the situation slightly?
You would think, right?
And players, by the way, we're forgetting that part too.
Luke Cornett spoke out. Al Horford spoke out.
Usually when the players speak out,
that's a problem.
That's a problem. Okay. And here's the other thing. If the players didn't speak out, I would have said, okay, if it's not bothering the players, then I have no leg to stand on whatsoever. But two players, Al Horford's been around this game a very long time. Okay. He strongly came out and said this is not culture. And he played in Atlanta.
And he would know exactly.
He played many years in Atlanta before he went off and won the titles with the Celtics and all that stuff. So this is not culture.
I was a little shocked. I was a little shocked, though, to be honest, about Luke Cornett speaking out about it, though, to be very frank.
I mean, he's been around for a little while too. I mean,
Henry
I
just
don't know.
has good values.
And that's the other thing. People, I said this before. People think, oh, the NBA is all about good values. They're not. Can we stop that everyone says, oh, well, professional athletes are all have good values. They don't. Not all athletes have good values. There's not a Derek Jeter in every single sport. Okay? Where now, if you know Derek Jeter, he had plenty of dating escapades behind the scenes that everyone didn't know about.
Right.
But for the most part, you didn't see him going out to a nightclub, or he never got a DUI. He was a constant stand-up professional for the most part in
I would have said
baseball.
the same thing about Tony Gwynn and before he killed himself, Geno Seau. But I know that Geno had his own problems, though, because of his mental condition, because of CTE.
But I think we forget about that with today's modern athlete. They don't know what good values are anymore. They're just more worried about going out and partying and drinking. That's all they care about, unfortunately.
That'll be me tomorrow, but at least I have a good head on my shoulders, at least I think. Because tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, after all.
I keep forgetting it's St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I mean, Patrick is my middle name, for God's sake, so got to go live it up a little bit. Fellas, let's try and settle the bill here for 3 NFL moves that were made. We already talked about the Chiefs and their 2-year deal for Justin Fields. What about the Ravens and Trey Hendrickson with pairing Hendrickson, or getting Trey Hendrickson, but also the Patriots, $70 million for Romeo Doubs. Fellas, are either of these teams making smart investments, or are they over-tipping or overreacting for a service they don't really need? Nick, who probably should pay the bill here, the Chiefs, Ravens, or the Pats?
Well, here we talked about this over the last couple of days. So the Hendrickson deal, I don't know whether to believe that was on the mind of the Ravens the whole time, because obviously people didn't hear the news. They had a deal agreed with the Raiders for Maxx Crosby,
and then the Raiders backed out.
And then no, actually the Ravens
backed out. I mean,
Yeah.
yes,
and they claim that it's due to the injury reports. Which, by the way, the whole world knew Maxx Crosby was injured. Okay, that. So it seemed odd that they pulled out of the deal, but then right after it, they signed Trey Hendrickson to a $115 million deal, and that's where it got suspicious. Were they waiting to see if Trey Hendrickson was willing to sign with the Ravens? And apparently they did. So then they used the excuse of, oh, the injury and the MRIs and all that stuff didn't look good, so we'll just pull out of this deal and we'll sign Trey Hendrickson. Romeo Doubs deal, I don't know. He needed another weapon. Drake May needed another weapon. But I would say the Trey Hendrickson deal is the most significant in this situation. But it doesn't help their situation with offense, which is where they're struggling. They're not struggling defensively. That was not their issue.
offensively.
It was offensively. Lamar Jackson was not healthy. He couldn't escape the pocket at all, which was his bread and butter for the beginning of his career. So offensively is where they needed help. But for some reason, they signed Trey Hendrickson and helped their defense. But if they can't score, who cares about defense at this rate? The Justin Fields deal I'm throwing out. That doesn't matter. But I would say Trey Hendrickson is the most significant deal.
All right, Dino, what do you think is the most significant deal, though? The Chiefs with Justin Fields, Trey Hendrickson to Baltimore, or the Pats giving $70 million a year or $70 million to Romeo Doubs?
Yeah, I gotta say definitely the Trey Hendrickson deal because of the immediate pivot that the Ravens made. They had a deal in place for Maxx Crosby. They surprisingly pulled back from it, blaming the physical, even though we know that he's recovering from injury.
Correct.
So of course he's gonna fail his physical if he has the injury that he's recovering from. So they immediately pivot and get Trey Hendrickson as a replacement because they're like, okay, well, we were gonna have a Pro Bowl edge rusher, and we didn't want him anymore. So now we have. I don't know if the deal was in place before, like as Nick was alluding to, maybe they were waiting to see if they had a deal in place, and once they knew that, that's when they pulled back. Because I mean, it literally happened like hours later where they announced the deal, so that just seems kind of shady. So that's definitely the most significant deal. Dobbs, I mean, Dobbs. The thing with Green Bay is like Green Bay would. They never really had like a number one guy. They would kind of just share Dobbs, Watson. They had somebody. I forgot the other guy's name, but they had like 3 main receivers. None of them were really a number one. I don't know if he's really going to be a number one in New England. I mean, obviously they don't have Diggs anymore, so as of now he's the number one. I know there was reports they might be after AJ Brown.
It'd be a great fit.
I feel like maybe they Dobbs is not really a number one, so I feel like maybe they still need somebody like an AJ Brown to really give Drake May another weapon. So they may have overpaid for Dobbs a little bit, in my opinion. But Hendrickson is definitely the bigger deal. And yeah, Fields, that's not even in the same conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say I would lean towards Romeo Dobbs for the Pats, I'd say, just because they had to get maybe one more weapon for Drake May. Baltimore's defense is fine, as we've already mentioned. And then, again, sadly, Justin Fields, as Nick once said on ETB Sports, just take Justin Fields and throw him into the fields and get rid of him.
Yeah, it's true. He's a big waste of time, if you ask me.
So, I mean, that's where we stand on settling the bill. Gentlemen, for the aftertaste, some NBA realignment might be coming in the next 3 years, as Seattle and Las Vegas, per reports, will be voted in as the 2 new expansion markets by the end of next week and set to join the Western Conference by the 28-29 NBA season. But with that, though, guys, one team must be moved out of the NBA's Western Conference to make way for the 2 new teams to make it a 16-16 split. I have come up, guys, with 3 teams who probably fit the Eastern Conference mold: Minnesota, Memphis, or New Orleans. The T-Wolves make the most sense, from my opinion, due to the fact that they're geographically isolated in the West, and travel-wise, they belong in the East with both the Bulls and the Bucks. The Grizzlies are technically further eastern than Minneapolis, but deep in South rivalries, and the Pelicans are further south, but might lose their Texas 3-way rivalry. Nick, if you were a commissioner for one day, which team do you move to the East? The Wolves, Grizzlies, or the Pelicans?
Oh, I can't believe we're dealing with this again. I understand why they want to build, because they're making more money than they ever had. They're talking about $7 to $10 billion in bidding between these 2 expansion franchises for Seattle, which, all intents and purposes, let's just say the Supersonics are going to be back at some point.
That'll be the name of the team, more than likely.
And then I don't know what they're going to call Vegas. That's a whole different.
Well, I pulled up some rankings of names, but let's have your thoughts, though, first about who moves, though. Minnesota to avoid the long travel to Portland, Oregon in the Northwest Division, the Grizzlies, or the Pelicans?
This one's tough. I think if the Grizzlies move, that might put them into fairer competition, because I think they're getting.
I think if you do that, you've got Memphis, Charlotte, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami for one division, I think.
Yeah, I would say, for my sake, it would probably be the Grizzlies, because they got to find a new home. Memphis, yeah. That team's in shambles right now with the whole John Morant situation and
your boy.
Yeah. But I think they need a change of scenery. Maybe.
I think so too.
Now I don't know where they move and what they would be called.
I think they would they would still be the it was just moving from the Western Conference to the Eastern Conference is more about not them relocating, but just them moving to the other conference.
You can't move to the Eastern Conference and be in a Western city.
Yeah, well, so this is with Seattle and Vegas coming into the West. So they're going to take 2 spots. You have to move one team from the West to the East to make it 16 and 16.
Right. I'm saying if they're going to move to the East, they have to become a new team and a different name. They can't.
No, not necessarily. They don't have
to. Memphis is
the Bucks and Bulls
East.
both moved and they kept their branding in place.
But if they move to a completely different place, that wouldn't make sense.
If they move to a different place, yeah, but they're not going to. They're just going to move from the Western Conference to the Eastern Conference. They're just going to redraw the line.
If that's the case, where they're just going to redraw the line,
that's all they're going to do.
Then I would move Minnesota because that I think that would be a competitive balance for the East.
That and I think that would also help reduce travel for them, so they're not going to Denver and Portland every other game day to play divisional opponents or down to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, their travel's a nightmare on certain, especially on long road trips too.
And I think though, if you do that, Nick, though, and you put the Sonics back in Seattle, Portland, Denver, Minnesota, maybe Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
it's not too bad.
But
no, we're forgetting Utah though. So Seattle, Portland, Salt Lake, or Utah, Denver, Minnesota might actually work.
But yeah, but we all know that the NBA is not going to think on proximity.
I know.
They're going to think on competition, and I would take Minnesota and move them to the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
Because, again, who wouldn't want Anthony Edwards in more Eastern Conference arenas? I mean, imagine Anthony Edwards showing up for another 5 to 10 games at MSG and at the Barclays Center.
That'd be something.
I think for that sake, that might be what the NBA does because they want more competitive balance between
the West and the East, where it's not so top heavy with the West.
So I think it's going to be Minnesota.
Okay.
The Grizzlies would be a second, and I just don't. The Pelicans are not in the same discussion with either of these two teams.
I just thought of New Orleans because they're kind of like on the border of like where the West and East would be divided if you looked at it from that perspective.
The problem is it doesn't matter where you move the Pelicans. They're going to be
awful, sadly.
They're going to be an awful mess wherever you put them. And unfortunately, that's just going to be one of those teams where the tanking rules are going to eventually apply because that team never plays competitively for anything. At least over the years, like Memphis was competitive.
Yeah.
Over the years, now Minnesota's finally a competitive team to make runs. So from an NBA perspective, it'll be Minnesota. From a more NBA
geographical sense, it might be Memphis.
From a more NBA structural mind like mine, I would say Memphis.
Dino, what do you think here? I mean, obviously, this is. I mean, I think for me, it's exciting, because every major sports league has gone to Las Vegas now, starting with the NHL, then the NFL, eventually Major League Baseball. MLS nearly went there, but they weren't going to be able to play at Allegiant Stadium because the Raiders said no thanks to soccer because of how they built the stadium for football. And then obviously the WNBA's gone there to rave and rousing reviews. Now the NBA is going to be the last league to finally go there. We know about Seattle's history with the NBA, with the Sonics that left in 2008, how the Storm have picked up the basketball fandom with the WNBA franchise there and them redoing Climate Pledge Arena where the Sonics once played. So, Dino, if you were a commissioner for one day, who moves to the East, though? The Wolves, the Grizzlies, or the Pellies?
I feel like, geographically, I would say Memphis. They're kind of online with New Orleans. Minnesota is slightly more west geographically. To me, Memphis seems to make the most sense. I'm not sure if that's really what they'll do. Like right now, I'm looking at the divisions. Memphis is in the Southwest Division with New Orleans and the 3 Texas teams. If you're looking at like the odd team out in the Southwest Division, it's definitely Memphis because they're more north and east than those other 4 teams. So that's the one that to me makes the most sense geographically. They should probably be more in like the Southeast Division in the East.
I would think so too.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, Nick was saying about the competitive balance, but I mean, this is really more of a long-term decision. You're not just looking at the way the teams are structured right now. You're looking at long-term. So there's no, even though Memphis and New Orleans may not be so competitive right now, that doesn't mean they can't be in the future. So I think you really got to think about this in much more of a long-term mindset.
Yeah, but I think Minnesota is built more for the long term than Memphis and the Pelicans. I think and like I said, pushing Anthony Edwards more to the east where more of those arenas can see, I think that would balance out everything.
By the way,
I mean, yeah, if they think about it in I feel like that's sort of a short-term way of thinking about it, but that could potentially be a determining factor. So, yeah.
By the way, Nick, since you asked, I did look up some potential names for the Las Vegas NBA franchise.
Oh, boy.
So the top 3 names would follow the playing card model of Vegas to avoid any references to gambling because that the NBA won't let. By the way, they're not going to be called the Vegas Gamblers, by the way, because the NBA will not let that happen. That would be hysterical if they actually did.
After all the investigations they just went through?
Vegas Gamblers.
But apparently the most pressing name for a Vegas gambling name, 3 of them actually, the Jacks, for the Jack of Diamonds or Jack of Spades, Wild Cards, and they're not going to be called the Diamonds, by the way. They won't be called the Royals or Silver either. That was a little bit of synergy with the Golden Knights. I think the names that have more logic, Venom or Vipers. Those have more logic.
Isn't there already a Vegas Vipers?
Not anymore.
Aren't they like in arena football?
Used to be, not anymore. No, you're thinking of the Vegas Outlaws used to be one.
There's a Vipers somewhere, though.
Maybe the XFL days they had a Vegas Vipers team, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah, that might be it.
Because the current indoor football team is the Vegas Nighthawks, as they're co-owned by Bill Foley, who owns the Golden Knights.
What about UFL? Is there like a Vegas Vipers in the UFL?
So the Vegas Vipers were professional American football team in the XFL in 2023.
There we go.
Okay. XFL.
This is the XFL, goddammit.
Well, the XFL merged with the USFL, and that's the current UFL.
Yeah, and Vegas doesn't have a team in that league anymore.
Oh no, okay. I thought they did, but I guess
not anymore. I mean, I don't really think it matters what you call the team because I think Vegas is a market that will support the NBA though, regardless of what they call the team.
Of course.
Will they support the A's is a whole different issue.
The only other wild cards would be Neon or High Rollers for the Vegas NBA franchise.
I don't know. None of those names really seem too great.
I mean, because we know though they're going to be called the Seattle Supersonics. That's like a birthright given right there to Seattle basketball, as that name goes back to Seattle finally. No, and they will not be called the Aces because of the WNBA team. But if they wanted synergy, they would become like the Jacks, the Jokers, Wild Cards, the Spades.
The Vegas Jokers would be amazing branding.
I think that'd be a hell of it.
The Vegas Jokers.
You know what? Actually, when the Continental Basketball Association was around in the 90s, we had a team in San Diego called the Wild Cards. They were sponsored by Viejas Casino, and the logo was literally the Joker of the playing card deck. Because we were owned by a local Indian tribe casino. They played like 3 years here in San Diego at one point.
I'm telling you, can you imagine the amount of interesting branding?
I would absolutely buy a jersey if that was the case. San Diego. I want to see the logo first, or want to show you guys the logo of the old CBA team
the
here in San Diego.
Could kind of work, I guess, but
give me a minute. Let's see here.
The Jacks you could kind of play. I mean, in addition to it being a playing card, and it's also, there's blackjack. So
the Las Vegas Spades.
That's not a bad one. the spades, the Las
There
Vegas
you go. There's the
spades.
San Diego Wildcards logo. Literally, it was the Joker of the playing cards because they were sponsored by Viejas Casino here in San Diego. So 90s, by the way.
Yeah,
It's kind of creepy looking too.
It's creepy.
That's why I said it. It's so 90s. Yes, Christy, the new team would be playing at T-Mobile Arena until maybe that new arena gets built by the Oakview Group off by the Sahara, by the Stratosphere.
Don't bet your money on it.
I think Vegas. I think the Las Vegas Spades would be something interesting.
I still think the Las
Vegas
Vegas Jokers. Come on, give me the.
I think Jokers, Wild Cards, and Spades would be my top 3 names.
Wait a minute. I just had some fun and I just came across something.
What do we got here? Let's see what Gemini has here.
The Las Vegas Jokers.
Oh, nice. Can you zoom in on that just a little bit?
I gotta
Make it a little bit
figure
bigger,
out how.
if you can.
Maybe
use your Control and Plus.
See if I can. Or not. Or I could maybe do it this way.
That's actually a sick logo, actually. I like that.
That looks pretty good. I mean, it's hard to see, but it looks pretty good.
And it was, and it's funny that we're talking about this, Nick, because I think you may have recalled the Blake Bolden interview that we did. I even asked Blake, where we talked about the PWHL, which, by the way, just had another sellout crowd in Denver for the Frost and Sirens in Denver. But I even said, I had been working on a name for a potential San Diego pro women's hockey team name. And the top name was Riveters for Rosie the Riveter during World War II. And again, to my earlier point about Military Appreciation Night, San Diego and the Navy town, Marine Corps town, very big military presence though, and that name really has resonated since though. I think Jokers, Wild Cards, and Spades are like my main 3 for Vegas. Could you imagine though having the giant ace of spades at midcourt for a game at T-Mobile for the
they would never do it though because they'd be so worried about the gambling.
Exactly. You know what? To play it safe, just put the big ass "Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada" sign at midcourt and you're safe. How about that?
I want the Las Vegas Jokers. Imagine like you could take players and make them act like a bunch of jokers and a bunch of branding.
You want to know how I got these scars?
You know what? You could also do I was going to say, do a crossover with Impractical Jokers. There you go.
Hey, that works too.
See? That's how you round it back in.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And yes, they're going to be called the Sonics people, so don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
I also think that there is wording in the Thunder for the Thunder that when Seattle does get a team again, that they have to give everything from Seattle back to Seattle from Oklahoma City, I want to say.
Well, good. They shouldn't own that title. It's not theirs.
No, I mean, we all said the same thing about the Chargers going to L.A., that, well, if we ever get a team again, we should be allowed to reclaim the Charger history of them being in San Diego.
Problem is you already have 2 teams there.
I know, exactly. By the way, for anyone who might be wondering what, in fact, how they rank this, by the way, when it comes to who's more likely to leave or move to the East, Minnesota's number 1 right now, for those curious.
I mean, it makes the most sense. I mean, it's the biggest
reason being, though, too, to Nick's point about star power, but also geographic isolation. Minnesota's currently in the Northwest Division with Portland, Utah, Denver, and Oklahoma City. They're literally thousands of miles away from a divisional rival. Moving them to the Eastern Conference would place the Wolves in a division with the Bucks and Bulls and Pistons, which would also align with the NFL's NFC North, if you really think about it.
Oh, yeah, it's fair. Yep.
And to Nick's point, star power shift. League executives have noted that moving a rising superstar like Anthony Edwards to the East would help balance the star power between the two sides, which historically has leaned heavily towards the West. Memphis is a number 2 option. They're a plan B, though they're the most easternmost market in the Western Conference. Now, while they're actually more east or further east than Minneapolis, they are actually closer to their current divisional opponents in both Texas with the Spurs, Rockets, and Mavericks, and then the Pelicans, than Minnesota is to theirs. Moving them might actually increase their travel miles depending on how the new Eastern Division might work. And then the dark horse would be the Pelicans, which we know won't really happen. So if, in fact, this happens, the division. So here's what the divisions might look like. The Pacific is unchanged. Actually, everything's changed. The new Pacific Division would be Golden State, Sacramento, and both LA teams, if this happens. The Northwest would be Seattle, Portland, Utah, Denver. The Southwest would be Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Oklahoma City. The new Desert South Division, Vegas, Phoenix, Memphis, New Orleans. I don't know how that would make any sense, though. Nick, what are you thinking here?
No, that really doesn't make sense. I mean, because you're kind of realigning, not down the line. You're kind of realigning off to the side.
They basically went the route of the NFL with 14 divisions.
I mean, I still think the NBA screwed up from the standpoint of how they do the playoffs. I think they should just take the top half of the league and put them in, regardless if it's
West or East.
West or East. And if your conference is not good enough, then unfortunately you don't get as many teams in. Plain and simple.
That or just get rid of the damn playing term and just have it go 1 through 8 again like it's been for years in each conference.
Yeah. I mean,
I wish the NHL would do that. I don't really like the wild card system in its divisional play to get to the conference final practically. I think it makes no sense.
Right. I don't know. It's amazing what they will do for conference realignment just to get 2 more teams in but then when I heard $7 billion to $10 billion of value, I was like, holy shit.
I mean, and believe it or not, when that happens, that'll be 20 years since the Sonics had left for Oklahoma City when they do come back in 2 years' time.
The problem is that people say, oh, it was a horrible move. Actually, no, it wasn't. It wasn't a horrible move. Seattle was dying at the time.
Yeah, and they could not get anything for the life of them built in the city. They could not touch Key Arena, as it was called, because they dubbed it a landmark, and all they could do was touch the interior, which is what they did for the Storm and eventually for the NHL to go there after all these years. And the Kraken have been very successful. The Seattle Torrent's been successful, though they've not really had a good year for the PWHL, but they have shattered records every game day up at Climate Pledge Arena. Now they're bringing the NBA back finally after all these years. But obviously it was time to move on, though, and to reevaluate things. And it took time, but eventually they're going to be coming back.
I don't think it'll be at Key Arena, though. I think if they come back...
It'll be at Key Arena. There's nowhere else to play the games in Seattle right now.
I just think that's the only way
they literally redid the arena for both the NHL to fit the rink on there and also to bring back the NBA.
Right. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to go back there, though, unfortunately.
I think they will. I don't see where else they can play in Seattle.
They'll get an arena built somehow.
Yeah, maybe. I think they'll go back, though, to where it all began. All right, guys, let's close out here and begin to pour one out. Of course, this is our therapy session of the evening for teams and players who had their night not go so well at the bar tonight. Fellas, your options are Aiden Howard's Tournament Dreams, the DR's WBC Hopes, and the Hawks' Lemon Pepper Wings. Dino, who do you pour one out for tonight, though, on this Monday going into Tuesday evening?
All right, wait. Give me the options one more time.
Your 3 options are Aiden Holloway's Tournament Dreams for Alabama men's basketball, the DR's WBC Title Hopes, and the Hawks' Lemon Pepper Wings.
Yeah, it's got to be Aiden Holloway. That's just a huge screw up on his part. You know, to days before, you know, the tournament that everyone has their eyes on, the whole country, even non-sports fans pay attention to this tournament, and you go and do something dumb like that and get suspended and potentially cost your team a chance to advance and make a run. So yeah, it's got to be Aiden Holloway.
All right, Nick, one pour out on the night for Aiden Holloway. How about you? Who gets to have one poured out on this Monday going into Tuesday evening?
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the WBC is going to escape the pour one out for me this time. And I usually don't say that because I don't like the WBC at all. I guess I would say Aiden Holloway's Tournament Dreams, just because of what I said earlier on, that he's an idiot for getting caught with drugs, even regardless if it was on campus or in a private off house, which is usually under the care of the school. He's probably going to cost their team from making any run. Not that they were going to make a large run anyway, but could they possibly lose to Hofstra now because of this? I would definitely take the 13.5, 14.5, whatever it's going to be. I would take plus points on that. But I would pour it out because he and again, when you get caught with drugs, that's on you. Okay, that's no one else's issue. You're an idiot. You're probably not going to play. If they make it past first round and they bring him back, then the school deserves to be penalized in every way, shape, or form. But yeah, I would pour it out for Aiden Holloway because he's just an idiot in every way, shape, or form.
I'm pouring one out, too, for Alabama because if Bama loses, I want Tom Albano to go live and do a victory lap around his home to celebrate Hofstra beating Alabama.
I'm in. Hey, I'm. If somehow LIU survives, you make it the same thing.
I was going to say, if LIU somehow beats U of A, I better see a victory lap around that office space there, Mr. Morgeson.
It's not going to happen, but...
I mean, with March Madness, I think we've learned that you can not expect the unexpected, right? Or expect the unexpected.
Well, St. John's is not my alma mater, but it is my brother's alma mater, and they are in Queens where I live, so they're my team for the tournament. But
they got royally fucked over.
They did,
the
though. They really did. I mean, not only do they deserve to be higher than a 5 seed, but the fact that they always send them out west. Last year as well, they sent them all west. It makes no sense at all. Like, why are you sending a New York team all the way to San Diego to play?
I mean, I told you the NCAA is corrupt. I mean,
also think they have some stupid rules in place that you're not allowed as a certain seed, or like there's rules in place where I think if somewhere in your area is hosting, you're not allowed to play in the region that is hosting. So like I think Buffalo's hosting, so they had to ship you guys out to San Diego because of that reason.
I'm trying to look that up.
I think they call it the pod system because if SDSU would have made it, they wouldn't have been allowed to play in San Diego. They would have been shipped out to the East Coast.
The NCAA rule stipulates that teams cannot play at a venue where they've played more than 3 home games during the season, excluding conference tournaments. Additionally, institutions hosting NCAA tournament games cannot play at their own venue during the first and second rounds.
Right.
Well, it seems like the top seeds usually get to stay close to home, though. Now, obviously, St. John's as a 5 seed is not a top seed, although they did deserve to be higher. But last year they were a 2 seed, and they still got shipped out west as a 2 seed.
I told you it has to do with TV ratings. St. John's to them, even though I think St. John's is a huge TV ratings moneymaker for them this year.
Big time. I mean, I think the Big East in general is a big TV viewership conference.
I think watching Rick Pitino alone is funny too.
1,000%.
I don't get how
he's one of the last few coaches to still wear a suit on the sidelines.
I mean, it's like, for example, Duke's going to play Siena in Greensville, South Carolina.
Duke shouldn't be a 1 seed. I mean, with all the injuries and everything they've had, like...
Oh, nepotism. Carlos Boozer's kid's playing for them.
Well, I don't know about that. But St. John's being a 5 seed, and now they're going to have to fight just to get through, unlike these 1, 2, 3 seeds. Like, I heard that their bracket is going to be much rougher. Actually, you know what? I might look that up really fast.
Yeah, that bracket, by the way, is Duke, Siena, Ohio State, TCU, St. John's, Northern Iowa, Kansas, California Baptist, Louisville, South Florida, Michigan State, North Dakota State, UCLA, UCF, and then UConn, Furman.
And I'm surprised they got put in the same bracket as UConn, seeing as they're in the same conference.
They're in the Big East, exactly.
I mean, there's only 3 Big East teams in the tournament. Like, did they really have to put St. John's with UConn? That doesn't really make sense either, in my opinion.
That doesn't add up. And then, just for consolation prize, they didn't play Kansas in the second round. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, it's not really one of Kansas's best teams, but...
And I was going to say, CBU's no walkover from the WAC, believe it or not.
I would say, obviously Kansas is there every year, but I would say this is probably one of their weaker teams.
But I think Duke is beatable this year, just because of all the injuries and
maybe. I mean,
stuff.
Either UConn, if UConn can get out of their own way and Hurley can stop being a damn dumbass on the sidelines, and then maybe Michigan State could be one.
Michigan State's a dark horse, in my opinion.
I think they always are, though, every year.
They always are. I mean, yeah, it's not really... I mean, I guess it's not... They're not really a dark horse when you have Tom Izzo as one of the most successful coaches.
Well,
But
what is everyone saying? Arizona's probably the best team right now.
I'd say U of A is probably one. Florida's probably the weakest of the four number ones, if you had to ask me. I think my sleeper might be Houston, honestly, believe it or not. Last year's
I could see Houston. I mean, what's interesting is actually the final for that bracket might be a rematch of last year's championship, which is Florida versus Houston.
And I'm shocked that so many people on ESPN.com are picking St. Mary's as a 7 to beat A&M.
Hey, you never know, right?
Precisely. I'm still shocked that my conference got 3 schools in there. Zaga, Santa Clara, and St. Mary's all 3 got in. And in the past couple of years, we've always been like a 1 or 2, but not a 3 bid conference. So that's good to see. But again, Zaga's out to the Pac-12 next season, as I've been alluding to for the last several weeks too.
You know what though? I just hope we get a ton of upsets because that's what I enjoy every single year.
I love it because I love it too because I put together a Twitter thread of the Spartans from the movie 300 where it reads, "This is March, not this is Sparta." And whenever there's an upset, I literally just put a new tweet underneath, in all caps, whoever won, and a GIF of their mascot. So
it's always great to see the upsets,
especially when it's like, who are these guys again? Who? Never heard of them?
Who? What?
Yeah, it's
when?
like
Where?
Some
what?
college that you don't even know where the hell it is. But
I mean, like, come on. Nick's alma mater has the chance to do something, to do something special in San Diego if LIU can beat U of A.
It won't happen.
Oh, that'd be great. It'd be awesome.
I would take them to cover that plus points, but not to win.
I think most people don't even know where Gonzaga is.
I don't know. I think that a lot of people would now because they've been a consistent, player in March Madness.
Yeah. I mean,
for those who don't know, though, they're in Spokane, Washington, which is suburban Seattle.
I mean, yes, like we know that. I don't know if the casual fan knows that. Like, there's this theory that they're not even a real college; they're just a basketball team. Because you don't hear about them for anything else.
Sadly, I do, but that's besides the point.
Like, Duke is known for, besides their basketball, they're known for, their school of medicine. But, Gonzaga, you don't hear anything about Gonzaga other than their basketball team. So.
Yeah, that was like UC San Diego last year. Everyone globally knows them for research, oceanography, the Scripps Hospital in town, and they go D1 their first year. They win the Big West Championships, and they almost beat Michigan at the Final Horn last year, of all teams to nearly beat, for God's sakes.
It's true.
I mean, they're better known for STEM classes than they are for basketball. Or UMBC being known for chess and not basketball until they beat UVA as the 16 over the 1.
And by the way, they won that game by 20.
It wasn't just like a 1-point win; it was a 20
exactly.
point.
It wasn't even that was probably the most shocking upset of all time. The fact that not only did a 16 beat a 1 for the first time ever, but they won by 20. Could you imagine the odds of that happening? A 16 beating a 1 by 20 points?
And we are going to wrap up.
That's ever going to happen ever.
We are going to wrap up, by the way. But by the way, Virginia has 2 of the most embarrassing losses of all time. By the way, the UMBC loss to them, 16 beating 1, and losing to an NAIA school coming back from Japan in Honolulu that gave birth to the Maui Invitational in 1970 something when they had Ralph Sampson playing for them. They lost to Chaminade, who's a D2 school. And pretty bad for Virginia basketball.
But Virginia did come back and win the national championship the year after they lost as a 1 seed.
That's like the ultimate revenge tour, by the way.
That was like the ultimate redemption for them. The fact that, yes, we got embarrassed losing by 20 to a 16 seed, but 1 year later, we were able to win a national championship. So
absolutely. Before we lock up, though, gents, on this Monday, March 16th, heading into St. Paddy's Day, we look around the clock and realize that the madness isn't just a marketing slogan anymore, but now the literal air that we're breathing for the next several weeks. This tonight feels like the calm before a very loud and very chaotic storm. On one hand, all the brackets are good to go, with Duke as the number 1 overall seed. But then we look at Tuscaloosa, with Adrian Holloway being removed from the team following a felony arrest. isn't just a headline, but also a gut punch to a program that was dreaming of a Final Four. And a stark reminder, though, too, that in March, your season can end in a jail cell, much like it can on a buzzer beater. Bama now has to worry about figuring out who they are without their floor general and have exactly less than 4 days now to do it. While the college kids are dealing with the weight of the world, the NFL is busy playing its own version of musical chairs, with Justin Fields now heading to Kansas City to back up Pat Mahomes. The ultimate break glass case of emergency move, and the Jets paid a hefty price to move on, and the Chiefs just bought the best insurance policy in the league for the price of a 6th-round draft pick. But if you want pure, unadulterated joy, what that looks like, look at Miami. Team USA is now just one win away from a WBC championship because they survived the heavyweight slugfest with the DR that felt like a Game 7 of the World Series. And more importantly, tomorrow night, the world will watch, and for a few hours, the brackets can wait for a couple hours longer. A huge thank you again to Nick Morgeson and Dino Taibbi for helping us navigate the evening. And also, a happy birthday to my dad, who turned 68 today on this Monday going into Tuesday. Gentlemen, the scoreboards are off tonight, and we'll see you folks back here. But until whenever it might be again, the lounge is officially going to be closed until Sunday. I have no idea.
Sunday,
because I am stuck at work on Sunday and Monday next week, so we'll have to do our own reshuffling of the deck of cards here come next Monday for the program.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, though. But again, folks, a major thanks to Nick Morgeson and Dino Taibbi. Until next time, folks, we'll see you back here on ETB. Again, find us on social media once more. We are at the ETB Lounge and, of course, at ETB Network on social media. And, of course, like and subscribe. Help us get to 4,000 watch hours. We're getting ever so closer. YouTube.com/ETB Network, folks. Until next week, have a great night. Till then, bye-bye.
Hi.